This is a special meeting to hold a budget hearing of the City Council of the City of Orange Township held via audio-video conferencing on Thursday, June 6th. Is it June 6th? No, June 11th. Wrong agenda. June 11th at 7 p.m. via audio-video conferencing for the calendar year 2024 budget hearing for Community Service, Finance Department, and Public Works. The agenda and all agenda items can be accessed at the Orange website, the city's website.
Just one thing, there was a change with the matters of discussion. It's actually going to be administration, mayor, water department, community service, and public works.
Community service, mayor, so no finance.
Correct.
Wait a minute, when she gets through tomorrow, then we'll go through that again.
Okay.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Roll call. Councilmember Coley.
Present.
Councilmember Hilbert.
Present.
Councilmember Montague III. Who has not arrived yet. Councilmember Ross.
Present.
Councilmember Summers Johnson.
Present.
Councilmember Wooten. Has not arrived yet. And Council President Eason.
Present.
Also present is Joyce Lanier, City Clerk, Tamara Robinson, Deputy City Clerk, Chris M. Hartwick, Business Administrator, now Clements, the CFO. Is there a representative from the Law Department? Okay. Marlon G. Towns. Let's see. Marty Mays, Director of Public Works.
Here.
Wendy Sykes, Community Service Director.
She's present. She's having trouble getting on, but she's here.
Okay. And then also Marguerite Homer and Trisha Scipio from the City Clerk's Office. Council President, can we have a moment of silence?
Let's have a moment of silence. Pray we have a good meeting. Everyone working together. Amen.
The requirements of NJSA 10:4-9 exec the Sunshine Law has been met. A notice of this meeting was sent to the record transcript published in the Star Ledger on May 30th, 2024, posted on the city's website, the council's website, and filed in the office of the city clerk. Our matters of discussion for this evening is the budget hearing for Community Service Department, the mayor, and Public Works. Council President.
Mr. CFO Clements, somebody made a request today to go first.
Business Administrator Christopher Hartwhite, administration.
So we're doing mayor and administration, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
ma'am. As well as water, which is tab 12. Those all fall under our business administrator.
And water. Okay, you want to lead the meeting?
Sure. So as Council President and Clerk Joyce Lanier said, we're going to begin with the administration, then we'll move on to community services and then DPW. Up first is a business administrator who'll be presenting, Christopher Hartwhite. Chris, you want to give your opening statement?
Thank you. Good evening, council. Thank you for the opportunity to move up in the agenda. I thought it would be helpful in terms of a little bit of background on the overall budget, and then I'll get into the administration. Kim, would you put up slide number 2, please? Thank you. Can everyone see that? Yeah.
Yes, you can see it.
Yes, we can.
All right. What this is a breakdown of the entire 2024 budget by category. And the important takeaways from this pie chart are that your salary, wages, and benefit constitute 61% of your entire budget. Next, at 17% is your pension, deferred charges, and reserve for uncollected taxes. Next, at 15% is your operating expenditures. And finally, at 7% is debt service, capital improvement fund. The interesting part about this is that, and the takeaway is that most of salary and wages, pension, deferred charges, benefits, and debt service are things that are statutorily or contractually obligated, which leaves you with approximately 15% of the budget where there can be effective negotiation and cuts. With regard to that, when we started out the budget, the department heads submitted their requests. The CFO and the business administrator went through those requests, and in an attempt to balance the budget and present a budget that was within caps, made significant cuts to those requests. Some administrative adjustments you'll see noted as we go through the budgets for the various departments. They're noted in red. But at the conclusion of the presentations and when you're ready for your workshop, we're going to give you a list of all of the cuts that we made in order to present this budget. Kim, go to the next slide. This slide shows you a trend, a 5-year trend on O&E, which is the 15% that I've been talking about. What you'll see here is that during COVID, the O&E remained relatively stable and started to rise once we got out of COVID, and came back up actually once we got out of COVID in 2022. 23 it rose, and 24 it rose. Those increases are due primarily, we would suggest, to the increases in costs associated with inflation, as operating expenses involve the procurement of goods and services, and that's where we feel the impact on inflation the most. Next slide. This slide shows the introduced budget by department. You'll see that the police and fire department constitute 63% of the budget. Public safety is always a significant portion of the budget, followed almost entirely across municipalities by public works. Administration is roughly 7%. And we can get into that when we talk about the administration's budget to show you exactly what that covers. And that includes the mayor's budget. You'll see that the city clerk and the city council constitute 2%. Planning is 3%. The municipal court is 2%. The law department is 3%. Community service is 5%. Finance is 3%, and the library is 2%. So the overwhelming majority of your money is dispersed in 3 categories, and that's public works, fire department, and police. So public safety and public works, the 3 areas where the most services are delivered, followed by community service.
Chris, real quick, where does the Board of Education fit on your chart?
It doesn't, because we don't fund them.
Okay.
Go to the next slide, please. This shows the 2024 introduced budget, broken down by large chunks, if you will, and for mayor and administration. This is my segue into mayor and administrative functions. As you know, the mayor's office is responsible for the executive functions of the city. In executing those executive functions, the Faulkner Act authorizes the mayor to have 2 confidential aides. And we also have a secretarial assistant within that department. Obviously, the mayor carries on the executive function. It includes review of documents, making decisions based upon information he receives from department heads and from the business administrator, attending functions, reviewing the budget, approving the budget before submission to the council, and monitoring the budget throughout the year through the business administrator's office. In the Department of Administration, we handle a wide variety of things. You'll see that we handle payroll, benefits, which includes group health, as well as pension. We handle group life insurance, group health insurance, as well as liability insurance and the administration of those policies. We handle the fleet management of the entire fleet for the city. And we do centralized purchasing for the entirety of the departments, which includes supplies, copiers, services. It includes cable and internet. We have IT under the Department of Administration, as well as personnel, which is civil service compliance. Those are, and then obviously I spend a lot of time doing water. We have a staff that includes people who work on personnel, people who work on benefits, people who work on payroll, administrative clerks, and they support the functions that I've just enumerated. If you look at the administration's budget, it breaks down into salary and wages, fleet management, citywide expenses, administration O&E, and the grant writer contract. Are there any questions at this stage?
Are we gonna go through it page by page like we did on the rest of them?
Yes, we are, ma'am.
Okay. Can we hold the questions as we go through the pages?
Sure.
All right.
Okay, just for the record, Alvin White, Deputy City Attorney, arrived at a 7-Eleven, and Marlon G. Towns, 7:08.
And Adrian Wooten at 7:05.
7:04, I had, but okay.
There's one more slide that I'd like to show. Kim, go to the first slide, please. In actual dollars, I thought it would be helpful to break down where your actual increases in your budget come from. And yes, thank you, Kim. You have an increase in the budget of roughly $5.2 million. That increase is broken down $1.87 million in salaries and wages, $1.24 million in pension costs, both for the public employee retirement system and the police and fire retirement system. Debt service has increased by $880,000. Capital improvements have increased by $600,000. Group insurance and general liability has increased by $390,000. Legal settlements by $370,000. Refuse removal by $280,000. Utilities by $140,000. And Social Security by $170,000. As you can see from that list, those are all items that are either contractually obligated for or somewhat out of the control of the city in terms of the cost of Social Security, utilities, pension, even refuse removal is a publicly bid contract. The only thing I'll say about refuse removal is that that includes an increase in service because we added an additional truck. But that's the breakdown of your $5.2 million. I'm ready to go page by page, Council President.
Okay. You started with the mayor's budget?
Council President, we're gonna start with tab 2, page 1. It actually starts with the Business Administrators Department. Tab 2. Page 1. If everyone's ready, let's hit the books. So the first page, first department, Business Administration salary and wages. The total requested this year, $297,788. Last year's budget was $283,149. Total spent, paid to charge was $311,628.66. Drop down after the business administrator salaries and wages. It begins the business administrator's O&E request. This year requesting
Now, just one moment before you go on, just so we all understand and our CBC understands. Now in here you have 283, 149. Where are you getting the 311? Did I miss something?
283, 149. That's how much was adopted. So there are two line items. I'm sorry. Let me go back.
Got paid the charges 292.
Yes,
But you said now the 311. How you getting to
But-
311?
plus the 19,000 in overtime below the pay to charge. You see it?
Okay, so you wanna, as you go through it, you wanna include that so everybody understand what, so the numbers match.
Sure.
Okay,
So within the 297,000 requested this year, 291,788 is for salaries and wages, and then 6,000 is the request for overtime. Last year, the salary and wage line was 283,000. Nothing was adopted in the budget for that line item. Any questions before we drop down to O&E, or can I just proceed, Council President? Do you just want me to?
go ahead.
Business Administrator's O&E request this year is for $780, the same amount as last year's budget. Total spend was $153. Any questions on page 1? Now we'll flip to page 2. Page 2. Employee training request is $120, the same as last year's. Last year we charged off $55 in this line item. Communications, rentals and leases, and advertisement. There's no request. Nothing was paid or charged. That concludes page 2 and the Business Administrators Department. Next under administration is administration's salaries and wages on page 3. At the top of page 3, you'll see the total requested is $856,084. That includes two line items, that's salary and wages. That request is $806,084. And then overtime, they're requesting $50,000. Last year, the total budget for administrative salary and wages was $750,000. We spent $842,634. So it was comprised of two line items, salaries and wages, $700,280. Pay to charge, $773,427.76. And then overtime. The adopted budget for that line item was $50,000. Pay to charge was $69,207.21. Any questions on page 3? If not, let's flip to page 4. Page 4 begins with administrative services O&E. The total requested for 2024 is $1,018,500. Last year's adopted budget for administrative services was $975,000. the total paid to charge was $1,045,000. Excuse me, $1,045,000. $1,045,035.09. Excuse me. So once again, that's $1,045,035.09. The first line item on page 4 is for office materials and supplies. The total requested this year is $25,000. Last year's adopted budget was $46,530. And then the pay to charge for that line item was $25,115.67. Dues and publications request this year is $5,500. Same as last year's adopted budget for that line item. Nothing was paid to charge. No request for programs and special events this year. Nothing was budgeted last year, but we paid to charge $775. Employee training, requesting $200 this year, same as last year's budget. Nothing was paid to charge. Communications, the last line item on page 4, requesting $300,000. Last year's adopted budget was $311,000. Paid to charge $467,119.68. Any questions on page 4? If not, let's drop down to page 5. First line item is postage. Request this year is for $65,000. Last year's adopted budget, $65,000. The pay to charge in 2023 was $53,976. Rentals and leases. This line item's request is $206,000. Last year's adopted budget was $118,800. And the pay to charge for that line item was $194,450.89. Equipment repair and maintenance, $17,000 is requested. Last year we budgeted $20,250. Nothing was paid or charged. Printing and binding, $7,000 is being requested. Last year we budgeted $12,100. We spent $7,100. Advertising's request is $5,000. Last year we budgeted $25,000. We spent $4,348.33. The last line item on page 5 is professional services. The request is for $103,000. Last year's budget was $192,700. The pay to charge from 2023 was $89,739. Any questions on page 5? If not, flip to page 6. First line item on page 6 is computer services. 2024 request is for $51,000. 2023 budget included $71,030. Paid to charge last year was $41,319.96. Next is contractual services. $232,000 is being requested. Last year's adopted budget was $105,000. Paid to charge $304,540.15. Last line item for administration and on page 6 is other equipment. The request is for $1,800. Last year's adopted budget for this line item was $1,840. Nothing was paid or charged. Any questions on page 6? If not, we'll drop down to page 7. Page 7 is the fleet management line item / department for O&E requests. This year, the request is for $650,000. Last year's adopted budget for this line item was $725,000. The city paid and charged $707,022.67 against this line item. After fleet management is the grant writer O&E line item. The request this year is for $55,200, the same as last year's budget. And all $55,200 was paid and charged out in 2023. Any questions on page 7? If not, let's flip to page
Council President,
Yes, Councilman Montague.
what is Millennium Strategies? What are we basing their salary on? How many grants they require? What do they have to do to get how many grants do they write every year?
Well, it's not a contingent contract. It's a fee-based contract. So that's the annual fee based upon the contract. And they write a substantial number of grants. They've brought in over $3 million on an annual basis.
All right, thank you.
Flipping to page 8. It begins the mayor's office, salary and wage. Their request is $246,292. That's combined for the salary and wage line item and overtime. Nothing was requested for overtime. Everything is in salary and wages. Last year's adopted budget for the mayor's office salary and wages was $241,773. The pay to charge for that department salary and wage was $249,015. Any questions on page 8? Not drop down to page 9. It'll begin the mayor's office O&E request. The total requested this year is $12,400, same as the 2023 budget. Total spend $4,835.67. Excuse me. First line item, office materials and supplies. $1,500 is being requested in 2024, same as 2023. Mayor's dues and publications, $7,200 is being requested in 2024, the same as 2023. $2,000 is being requested in employee training, same as last year's budget. Nothing is requested in communications. Nothing was budgeted in the prior year. Rentals and leases, $1,700 is being requested this year, same as the prior year. Advertising and travel allowance, nothing is being requested this year. Nothing was budgeted last year. Any questions on page 9?
Council President,
Yes, Councilman Montague.
under rentals and leases, they're asking for last year they didn't use any of it, correct?
Correct.
So we just hold on to that to see if they're gonna utilize it or not.
So far this year, they've used 700.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir. So we're going to flip to page 10. Page 10 begins another department under administration. It's the Municipal Alcohol and Beverage Control Board. The salary and wage request for this department is $12,550. Same as the 2023 adopted budget for that department, salary and wages. Total spend last year was $5,355.20. And I'll tell you why. Because the first employee, the charges were in the law department instead of against his board. So we transferred the money out. But this year, the charges will be reflected in this department. Dropping down to the O&E request for the ABC board. Total requested this year is $20,640. Total on last year's adopted budget was $25,690. Total spend was $1,533.34. Going line item by line item, they're requesting $400 for office materials and supplies. Last year, adopted budget was $300. Programs and special events is requesting $350 this year, same as the prior year budget. Employee retrainings request is for $5,150. Last year's adopted budget was $11,500. Advertising is requesting $1,200 this year. Last year, nothing was budgeted. The pay to charge was $1,178.50. Any questions on page 10? If not, drop down to page 11. Professional services requesting $10,040, same as last year's budget for that line item. reporting services requesting 3,500, which is also the same as the 2023 budget. Any questions with ABC before we move down to public defender? Starting a new department technically. It's all within administration. If not, public defender salary and wage request this year is for $72,261. It's the exact same as last year's adopted budget for that line item. We spent $72,259.98 for the public defender department salary and wages. Public defender's O&E request is also on page 11. It is $800, the exact same as the prior year's request. Nothing was spent in the public defender O&E line item. Council President,
Yes.
Council, are there any questions on page 11? If not, that concludes tab 2 in administration.
Council President,
Hold on 1 second, Council Montague. Yes, Councilman Montague.
I'm just, this is for clarification. The public defenders, aren't they part of the courts? Or what? Or Chris, maybe you can give, you're muted.
You're on mute, Chris.
Sorry. Every municipality is required to have a public defender, but they're not allowed to report to the court. They have to be part of administration.
Okay. Thank you. I just wanted to know that question.
And Council President,
Yes, Councilman Ross.
and to you, Chris, on that same note, you got two public defenders there. One is a part-time, and that part-timer makes a little less than a full-timer. Can you explain that to me?
So the way the duties are split up, Councilman, the full-timer actually covers a Thursday court session in addition to the other court sessions, whereas the part-timer doesn't cover that session, but he does cover the other 3 sessions.
So what would you say would be the hours of the full-timer versus the part-timer?
They're almost
Per
equal.
week.
They're almost equal.
Okay,
The full-timer has probably 3 to 4 more hours per week.
okay. Just needed to get that clarification. Thank you.
Understood.
Council President, if no more questions, you want to pass it back to the BA for, excuse me, no. Yeah, for any closing remarks before we move to CBAC?
Yeah.
Do you want to do
Right,
that?
do you have any closing remarks?
I think you can see from the review that we're pretty tight with the funds, and we cover a lot of things that move and can be volatile throughout the year. So I'm sorry, hang on 1 second. Sorry about that. I hope he doesn't interrupt again. Some of the expenditures are volatile. They can move depending upon different factors that come up throughout the year. So we try our best to stick to the budget allocations that were provided. Sometimes it's a little bit more difficult than it might be in some other departments. And as I mentioned to you this last year, there are often expenditures that come up that are not caught or captured by other departments, and they'll end up in administration. So I appreciate your attentiveness, and I'm ready to answer any questions.
Thank you. Any questions from the CBAC, and who's gonna be the sports person tonight?
It's a lot of questions in that chat, but I'm not really sure who's going to be the spokesperson.
Who's the spokesperson for this? Does the
I
CBAC
am.
have any question?
Council President,
Yes,
okay, for administration, I am the spokesperson, Carl Fields.
all right.
Um,
You have questions?
just a couple, no, and a statement. One, we recognize that there was a tremendous effort made to keep cost increases down, subject to the ones that are statutory or contractual. So that became obvious as we went through it. There were just a couple of, I'll call them little minor things that came up. I know you indicated, Chris, that Millennium Strategies writes the grants. Do they write the grants for every department in the city?
You're on mute.
It's more of, in many instances, a collaboration between the department and the grant writer. There's certain programmatic information that needs to be gathered from the department. The grant writer writes the grant in conformity with the grant requirements, and oftentimes will submit the grant through the appropriate electronic means.
Okay, but there's only basically that company does it for the city.
Yes.
Right, okay, thank you. I noticed just in a couple of the categories, you had what I'll call omnibus numbers, i.e. you had a number up at the top, you may have had 5 or 6 subcategories underneath with no amounts next to it. Is that for means of convenience, or is it because the expenses in that particular category are, to use Chris's word, volatile, and therefore you don't want to put a number in, you'll just say it falls under this omnibus number?
Yeah. I mean, it depends upon the category.
Yeah, okay. Because there are a number like that, and when we were just wondering why some you were very explanatory per line, others you were just with a number at the top, and you had, let me see if I'll give you one example. You know, office materials and supplies under administration on page 4. Okay, you've got a number there of $25,000 up at the top. It says all city office materials and supplies. So the assumption I made and that we made is that this covers everything there, but you're not in a position to really itemize it any further. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. I think that's, and we did on page 8, the mayor's office salary and wages, you did state, so it took away one of our questions, that 2 part-time deputy chief of staffs are required statutorily.
They're authorized. Yes.
Wait, oh, that's a difference. Authorized, so we don't necessarily have to fill them.
That's at the mayor's discretion.
At the mayor's discretion. Okay, all right. Okay, that's all that I had. Anybody else from CBAC have a question or comment that I may have forgotten? No, okay, then that concludes CBAC's comments and questions on the mayor and administration. Thank you, Council President.
All right, Council President. Chris is not off the hook yet. We're going to move to tab 12. Page
Council
123.
President?
One moment. Ms. Wells has her hand up.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes, Ms. Wells.
You're on mute, Ms. Wells.
Karen Wells.
Yeah, I had a question about the office materials and supplies and the
What page are you referencing?
page 4.
Okay.
Page 4. Office materials and supplies. So we're ordering all of this 25,000 worth of stuff from WB Mason, Staples, Paper Mart. What are we using those supplies for? Are we using those supplies for copiers and faxes and things like that?
Well, that's not all of it. It does include paper, but it also includes pens, Redwells, folders, filing materials. Niall, help me out.
A lot of paper.
Binders.
Binders.
Right, right.
It's
And so my question is this. I work for a major Wall Street firm, and we do not have these kind of expenses, say just in my department, which is a major department, on paper, because everything is done through technology. We don't have copiers and printers and faxes. Why are we doing that? And I've said in the past, any number of times, if we were using the Dell Municipal package, they would handle all of that, and we wouldn't have these expenses at all. We would just pay a lease agreement and they take care of it.
So
has anybody even looked into that?
Actually, both Mr. Fisher and I had extensive discussions with the Dell Municipal people over the period of approximately 3 months. They gave presentations. Unfortunately, at the end of the day, they were far more expensive than the services that we currently use. And from a budgetary standpoint, we weren't in a position to include that in the 2024 budget. In addition, we were already under contract in the 2024 budget for most of the services that the Dell Municipal package would provide. As it relates to the continued use of paper, you are correct that as we train newer people and some of our longtime employees to use electronic filing systems, the amount of paper will be reduced. However, as I've indicated on prior occasions, in municipal government, there are a number of records that are required to be kept in paper form. And so I cannot eliminate the use of paper or the use of filing cabinets or the use of files, pendaflexes, Redwells, simply because of the nature of municipal government.
No, I understand that, but if you need paper for a document or whatever, it's maintained in a PDF document most likely, or a Google Doc. I prefer a PDF document, and if you need it, then you print it out.
Right.
We're printing out
What
everything.
What I'm saying is that there are a substantial number of municipal documents that are required to be maintained in paper and not electronically.
Like purchase orders. I don't think it's an option, Ms. Wells.
Okay. But I mean, I just find that hard to believe, because if you've got major corporations doing it that way, I mean, because you can do DocuSign and all kinds of things to make it legal. You can do a signature, and it floors me that we spend this much money on materials like this when nobody does that anymore. If Deloitte is not doing that, I can't understand why the city of Orange is doing that.
The law requires it. That's what's being said.
No.
There's a lot of
Hold on,
requirements.
Ms. Wells. Go
Even-
ahead. Hold on, Ms. Wells. Go
Even
ahead,
some
Ms. Farley.
the legal documents that the city maintains, property records, things like that, they all need to be maintained in very paper format. It's unfortunate the law has not caught up with technology. If we were able to keep everything electronically without paper, I think we would prefer it. But it's much more convenient that way. But unfortunately, the law just simply says we have to store certain documents in paper, and there's no way around it right now.
Okay, thank you.
I get that. But if you have to store it in paper, if you need a piece of paper, it's a matter of just printing it out. We just print it regardless.
I think you're misunderstanding. So it's one thing to have the document stored electronically and then print it out when you feel like it or when you need it. It's another thing when the law says that you have to maintain copies of it in paper format. Like, for example, real estate offices cannot maintain their files in electronic format. They have to keep something in paper format. It's just what the law says you have to do about how the records are stored. If we were able to just store things electronically and access them as needed, that's fine. But there has to be by law certain records that are kept in paper format for anybody to access at any point in time, right at a moment's notice.
No,
Right.
I understand that, and I'm a realtor, so I understand how we maintain our documents. Okay, all right, I'm done with it. I'm done.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So Council President,
Yes,
we're gonna move on to tab 12. The water utility is also in the business administrator. Tab 12, page 127. Chris, you have an opening statement in regards to our water utility?
So just as background, there are approximately 5,000 water customers throughout the city in terms of accounts, give or take a couple hundred. And we operate 6 wells. We have water purchase agreements with 2 entities, American Water and East Orange Water Commission. We have a 6 million gallon storage tank up on Walker Road. We have a 6.7 mile gravity feed transmission pipeline that transmits water from our wells in the reservation to our treatment plant on Beach Street. We operate a treatment plant on Beach Street, which also has a temporary PFAS treatment facility that we operate. And we're planning through outside consultants, we are in the process of planning and constructing a permanent PFAS treatment facility. That gives you a sense of what the operation looks like in broad strokes.
Thank you, Chris. Council President, we're gonna move to the books.
yes.
Tab 12, page 127. It begins with the water sewer utility operating salary and wage. The request this year is for $305,000, the same as last year's request in the 2023 budget. Total spent $268,220 in 2023. Any questions regarding the water utility salary and wages on page 127?
Yeah, Council President.
Council President,
Hold on, Councilman Ross.
Yeah, I have a question. The first person, record support tech. I'm looking at the salary and wage for that particular position last year, and it was more than half of what it is this year.
Last year, half his salary was budgeted in the tax collection department. This year, his entire salary is budgeted in the water department. This is part of the changes that we made when we brought the billings and collections in-house. Sorry, Chris.
That's okay.
Okay, just needed the explanation because it looked a little funny there. Thank you.
Somebody else has a question. Who was that?
Councilwoman Hilbert.
Councilwoman Hilbert?
yes, Council President, thank you. My question was, last year we actually had 2 positions for an inspector. And I see that both of those have been removed and only one person has been transferred to be underneath the mayor's office, salary and wages. Why is that?
We're discussing the water utility. What page in the mayor's office are you referring to? Or do you want to entertain that?
There's a position of water meter inspector. So is that not included because
The
these
water,
inspectors were here last year?
yeah, with the new contract with the new operator, the water meter inspector position is subsumed within that agreement.
I'm sorry, can you explain that one more time?
Sure, the functions of the water meter inspector have been absorbed by the operating and maintenance agreement that we entered into with Woodard and Curran, so we didn't need the position in this budget.
Okay, got it.
That's the same one that's in the mayor's office?
It's in administration, it's not in the mayor's office.
Administration.
Oh, administration. Okay.
No other questions on page 127. We're gonna flip page 128. It begins the water sewer utilities operating O&E request. Total requested this year, $10,503,935. That's up from last year's adopted budget at $9,550,000. Total spend for the water utility O&E in 2023 was $9,399,742. First line item, state and federal fees and taxes, requesting $75,000 in 2024. Last year's request, $73,000. Office materials and supplies, requesting $1,500 in 2024. 2023's adopted budget had $1,500 as well. Accounting bank fees, $40,000 is being requested this year. $40,000 was in the adopted budget last year. $0 is being requested for settlements. $0 were budgeted last year for settlements. Interconnect supply, $599,045 being requested this year. Last year's adopted budget for that line item was $517,500. Gas and electric, $621,337. Last year's adopted budget for that line item was $600,000. Rentals and leases, $80,000 being requested this year. Last year's request was $78,000. Infrastructure repair and maintenance, $1 million being requested this year. Last year's adopted budget for that line item was $1,029,474.54. Any questions on page 128? Now drop down to 129. First line item is printing and binding.
Excuse me now, I couldn't unmute.
Okay.
Question. Council President, I have a question.
Yes, Councilman Montague.
Under water operating expenses, what leases do we have? What leases?
We lease,
Shop with pride and sharing some of the brands that are
we lease a trailer. We lease some other equipment for the office down at the Beach Street station.
All right. And last year, you requested 1,029,474.54, but we didn't use all of that, correct?
Correct. Some of the charges went against some of the ordinances that we did.
Right. So it was way less than the $1 million that we are requesting now, correct?
Yes, but
Are we anticipating something?
well, remember when I talked about volatility? If you want to really talk about volatility, let's talk about the capital side of the water operating budget, because I can't predict breaks, water main breaks. I can't predict valve breaks. I can't predict curb box replacements. So last year, a number of those items got charged against capital ordinances because we had so many. We try to keep a number of those things within the infrastructure repair and maintenance line to the greatest extent that we can, which is why we continue to ask for $1 million.
Right. Hoping we don't use it, correct?
Correct. Right.
Okay. Thank you.
Council President?
Yes, Councilwoman Hibbert.
Yes, to follow up with the question, because I was gonna ask about the rental and leases as well. Are we still paying for those trailers at the rate of $6,500, or has it changed?
I have to go back and check what the actual rate is. We tried to buy the trailers, but because of supply chain issues, the company won't sell them to us. So we've explored and are exploring other avenues of purchase because it would be a more cost-effective option for us.
Yeah, you could definitely save more if you owned it.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, thank you. That's all, Council President.
Thank you.
Council President, we were just about to begin At the top of page 129,
Mhm.
first line item is printing and binding. The request this year is 36,000. Last year's adopted budget was 0. I just want to let you know that as part of the new contract, we have to send out all of the water bills to be printed and mailed. So that's the new BMS direct vendor that you see in there.
Okay.
Next line item is professional services. $441,700 is being requested this year. Last year's adopted budget for that line item was $154,700. Next is contractual services. $4,099,633 is the total request for that line item. Last year's adopted budget for that line item was $2,390,604. Next is the PVSC, which is the Passaic Valley Sewage Commission in Second River line item. The request is $3,327,220. Last year's adopted budget for that line item was $3,059,499.32. Next is real estate taxes. $40,000 being requested this year, same as last year. Traffic control, $142,500 is being requested this year. Same request as the 2023 budget. And lastly, prior year bills, nothing's being requested this year. Last year we budgeted $18,122.14 in the prior year bills line item. Any questions on page 129? If not, we'll flip to page 130, which begins the water operating debt service division. Total requested this year for debt service is $4,236,561. Total budget for debt service and the water utility last year is actually $3,482,984. Please ignore that number there. That was a typo.
Could you repeat that, please?
Sure. $3,482,984. First line item under debt service, it's the bond principal. We're requesting $2,340,000. Last year we budgeted $1.9 million in that line item. It's $1,900,000. Water sewer utility bond interest line item this year is $606,300. Last year we budgeted $758,975. The New Jersey Environmental Infrastructure Trust bonds, $473,741 being requested this year. Last year's adopted budget for that line item was $480,529. Nothing's being requested for the NJIB bonds line item. Last year was $228,000. Payment of bond anticipation notes and capital notes, $64,000 be requested this year. Nothing was budgeted last year for that line item. And the interest on bond anticipation notes bands, $752,520 is being requested this year. It's up from last year's $115,480.
Yeah.
The number on the book says 752,000. Is that a typo?
No, that's what I said. I'm sorry if I didn't pronounce it right. 752,520. The paid a charge was 115,480. Any questions on page 130?
Yeah,
Now-
Council President,
Yes, Councilman Ross.
on both of those line items, payment of ban and capital notes and interest on notes, what is the reason for the big increases from last year? The first one, payment of ban and capital notes, last year there was no budget for that. This year we're doing 64,000, and the interest on notes last year was 115. This year it's 752. Can you give me an explanation for that?
Sure. So new ordinances in place. That's more debt that was issued. And then second is rising interest rates. So you're having to pay more for borrowing money.
Okay, the first one, just make it clear to me. The first one, we didn't do nothing
for the 64,000 we're doing this year. What is the reason for that? Because I got kind of confused. Why are we budgeting 64 when we didn't budget anything last year? I just want to know that.
That's a special emergency we authorize now.
Yeah, it's new debt, new ordinances that's in place. It wasn't there last year.
So this is new debt. Okay. And the second one again, please.
Yes, sure.
Sorry.
Interest rates have risen. So to borrow money this year compared to the beginning of last year, it costs us more.
What was the interest rate last year versus this year? Just curious.
I could pull it up and go through some of the notes.
Well, you can tell
It's-
me offline. Okay, I don't want to tie up the
Okay.
presentation.
But there are multiple ordinances included.
Okay. Thank you.
Now, infrastructure bank, why is nothing budgeted for that this year? You want to explain that?
Sure. So they permanently financed our bonds. And a part of that is that now that money is going to be qualified debt. So that will be taken out of our state aid. So we don't have to pay for the notes.
Oh, okay. All right. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Any other questions on page 130? If not, we'll drop down to page 131. This is the debt service administrative fees. This year we're budgeting 32,600. Last year we budgeted 92,100. Spent every penny. Lastly is deferred charges for the water operating utility. This year's request for $2,059,504. Last year was $360,000. First line item, emergency authorization. Nothing budgeted this year, nothing was budgeted last year. The next is a special emergency. 360,000 was budgeted this year, the same as last year. Lastly, deficit in operations. Budgeting $1,699,504. Nothing was budgeted last year. Any questions on page 131?
Yeah, I do, Council President. On the special emergency, what have we paid to date?
Family bonding thing. You mentioned fried chicken, but this you marinated or you do it in buttermilk and spices.
Everybody, please mute their phones.
1,080,000.
What is it? I'm sorry.
1,080,000.
To date,
Yes, sir.
and we have it budgeted for 360.
Yes, sir. So this would be pay down 4. So that's a typo. It says pay down 1 and 5. This would be pay down 4.
I'm not understanding that.
360,000 times 3 is 1,080,000.
Mm-hmm.
After this year's payment, it'll be 1,440,000. And then once the final payment's made, it'll be 1.8 million. And that'll pay off the special emergency. Special emergency was 1.8 million total, and it was divided over 5 years.
Got it. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Any questions on our water utility? On page 1, any questions at all?
No more questions, Council President. We'll pass it back to the business administrator for his closing remarks before we go to CBAC.
We continue to work on a number of capital projects. We'll continue to do that. We're working on restoration of well 5. We're working on the relocation of the transmission line under the Glen Avenue Bridge. We're working on obtaining a grant. We have a grant application into Senator Booker's office for a major sewer and water line project over on Cleveland and Lakeside, and another one on Thomas Boulevard. So we're pursuing all of those projects, and we'll continue to do so while we operate the utility.
Thank you. Now we're gonna move to the CBAC. Do you guys have any questions on the water utility?
Madam President, to be honest, we kind of overlooked that. So unless one of my colleagues was able to look at it, I don't know that we have any questions at this time.
Well, you can always save them and you.
Yes, for our final report, yes.
You can do them during your report.
Our
Okay.
final report, yes.
Okay.
I will just say, it sounds like we're drowning.
Thank you, Ms. Perkins.
You're welcome.
Yeah, this is Quorum.
End up.
I have a,
Hold on. Yes, Quorum.
yeah, on the infrastructure repair and maintenance. And the question I have, we've had a lot of buildings being built in Orange, and is affecting the ability to supply water or the need to get water to these new projects. So my question basically is that all encapsulated with what we're looking to do for the future? This capital outlay of $1 million?
So there's a couple of things rolled into that question.
Okay.
No, there will have to be some bond ordinances adopted based upon whatever happens from a capital standpoint on repair and maintenance. So, for example, I had a water main blow on Hillside 2 days ago. They've been out there for 3 days working. I'm probably looking at a $500,000 bill for that project. That's not budgeted, so that'll have to be addressed on a capital basis. However, as it relates to developments or new developments, they contribute to the infrastructure through the imposition of what are called EDU fees, which are charged as connection fees. So when they connect to our water, there is a formula provided by DEP that we charge them on a per unit basis, and they have to write that check before they're connected. And that goes into our water and sewer fund.
Okay, thank you.
Hey, Ms. Wells? Ms. Wells?
Yeah, okay. Am I unmuted? Okay, yeah. I have a question on gas and electric, page 128. Where we're paying out, since Orange Park is a county park, why are we paying anything on that?
In Orange Park, we have a well. It's an active well, and it runs on a 24/7 basis.
But is that our responsibility though?
Yes,
Since it's a county park?
It's our well. So it's within the county park based on an easement. Just like Walker Road is in West Orange, but we have to pay for that. And Brookside Drive is in Milburn, and we pay for that. Those wells are all ours, but wherever they're located, the power sources are paid by us.
Okay. And rentals and leases, we've got $80,000 for rentals and leases of what?
That's primarily for the trailer down at the treatment plant, which houses the offices.
That's down at the water, down in the valley, at the water department?
Yes.
Okay, okay. That's all I had.
Thank you.
All right, Council President, if no more questions or comments, that concludes tab 12. Thank you, Chris.
I'm trying.
Uh-oh. Ms. Perkins?
Whatever happened to the reservoir? Are we ever getting that back from the county?
Well,
Yeah, in like 20 years.
the lease runs for several more years.
2027 or 2028, something like that.
Okay.
So there will undoubtedly be negotiations regarding either an extension or a return to the city.
Okay, Ms. Perkins?
Yes.
Okay. Mr. Clemens, we're moving on.
Yes, we are, Madam President. Council President Eason. Up next, we have Community Services Division, led by Director Wendy Sykes. Director Sykes, please
Yes.
show yourself. Good evening. You have a presentation or introduction you'd like to begin with?
Yes, good evening, everyone. Thank you for allowing me to present our 2024 Community Services Budget request to you this evening. I do have a PowerPoint presentation, so thanks. So share my screen. Thank you, Trish. Hang on. Trish, is that you or me moving the, that's not me. Hang on. So my screen share says disabled.
Do you want me to share or do you want to share it?
Well, if you're trying to share it with me, it says disabled. So if you can share it, that'd be
Go ahead.
great.
You
And
can
then
share.
can you? Okay, let me see. Can you see it?
Yeah, not full screen, but it's up.
Okay, can you see now?
Yes, there you go.
All right, so this is our 2024 budget hearing presentation. So I'm just going to start with the department's function, what the Department of Community Services is charged to do according to city ordinance. We administer public health programs such as environmental sanitation, wellness, communicable disease control, and vital statistics. We administer social programs and issue referrals for utility assistance, medical, health insurance, education, probate and will workshops, and more. We administer recreation programs for residents of all ages. Our mission, the Department of Community Services promotes the well-being of children, young adults, and the senior community. We strive to enhance the quality of life by promoting good physical and mental health, identifying, preventing, and educating on health matters, protecting the environment, and providing recreational services to residents of all ages. We work to build stronger families and communities through a collaboration of public events, festivals, and information exchanges. And I may be moving pretty fast. I don't want to take up too much of your time, and I have 15 slides. Community Services is made up of the following divisions. It's 5 divisions. It would be the Division of Health, the Office of Recreation, the Office of Older Adults, the Office of Cultural Affairs, and then more recently, the Orange Emergency Food Pantry. So let me begin and tell you a little bit about the services provided in our health department. We provide environmental services, which includes inspections of restaurants, daycares, retails, and so on, nail salon licensing, checking the license of nail salons and hair salons. We administer citywide road and bait program, our swimming pool, our spray park weekly inspections, the summer camp site inspections, and the summer food service site inspections. In the health department, we also have the nursing division, which does blood pressure screenings, education workshops for the community, breast cancer screenings, mammogram van. We participate and collaborate with the Rutgers SAVE program, influenza, RSV, respiratory virus, COVID-19 vaccines, school immunization audits. We do screening for local health fairs, communicable disease surveillances, healthcare enrollment and education referrals, senior home care senior home care nursing visits, and health fair community baby showers. Under the animal control division, It's the canvassing control for animals, enforcement, state mandated rabies vaccinations. We investigate animal bites, attacks, and fights, any complaints regarding those. We capture, remove stray animals, abused animals from any undesired locations. We educate the public about animal welfare. We examine animals for injuries, malnutrition, and arrange for any necessary medical treatment of the animal. And then we also have under the health department our vital statistics services, where we service the public by issuing marriage applications, marriage licenses, certified copies of marriages, birth and death certificates. We maintain records of birth, marriage, and death certificates that have occurred in the city of Orange according to state statute. Then we have, under the Department of Community Services is Division of Cultural Affairs. We provide a yearly array of cultural events for residents of all ages, celebrating nationalities, patriotism, religion, etc. We provide a space for expression through performances, exhibitions, and competitions, such as some of the ones in this list here, and I'll just name a few, like coming up, our gospel concert, the Veterans Day Parade, the Latin and Italian festivals, our cultural flag raisings, and more. Also in the Department of Community Services, we have the Older Adults Division. The Office of Older Adult Services provide Orange residents aged 60 and over with varied interactive activities and services throughout the year. Services include but are not limited to medical transportation, exercise and education classes, wellness checks. We complete forms and applications when needed, shopping, transportation, and many other activities. And some of those activities include the Mayor's Christmas Ball, bowling night, bingo night, the Mayor's Senior Picnic, swim aerobics, all types of arts and crafts. Today we had an arts and crafts workshop for the seniors where they did canvassing, they did a paintings, which was very relaxing. Our goal in the Office of Older Adults is to develop programs and find funding that will make it easier for older adults to live in the community as long as possible with independence, dignity, and choice. And then we have the Department of Recreation, and that department provides diversified recreational and educational experiences. We foster human development, promote health and wellness, strengthen communities, and develop culture, community with partnerships.
Ask Maury why he.
Oh, someone's mic is on.
Can you please mute yourself? Sorry, Ms. Wendy, please proceed.
That's okay. We provide the following year-round sports programs. There are some examples, such as our football programs, t-ball, baseball. We have swim lessons, kickball, tennis, and more. We have after-school program and safe havens that we also provide for the community. And then lastly, and the most recent would be our emergency food pantry. In 2021, the City of Orange Township partnered with Interface Food Pantry and the Hillside Community Food Bank in order to provide nutritional bags of food for residents in need due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Because of the great need and food insecurity in some households, the program continues to this day. The Hillside Community Food Bank provides weekly deliveries of groceries, produce, and now protein boxes to the City of Orange for distribution to residents at no charge. In addition to weekly visitors to the food bank, the city delivers bags to those in need of food and who are homebound in order to ensure that everyone can have access. Some of our interlocal service agreements include an agreement with the City of Belleville for a nutritional educator health officer and the health officer. The Essex Regional Health Commission is a joint agreement with all municipalities for air pollution control, noise, waste, pesticides, underground storage tanks, and then the City of East Orange with regards to lead inspections. Some of our new accomplishments include the following. We received 2 new senior transportation omnibuses funded through the CDBG fund grant. We implemented a senior drama technique workshop for our seniors. We received the grant from the New Jersey Association of Council of Health Officials for the enhancement of a local public health infrastructure. We received the grant from the New Jersey Department of Health to hire a local health outreach coordinator. We received the Project First Line grant to provide training to our term care facilities. We fed over 300 families per week with regards to the food pantry. We fed over 300 families per week And in 2023, we distributed approximately 7,800 bags and boxes of food. And then we provided protein boxes for residents in need through the emergency food pantry. And those protein boxes is a new program through the collaboration with the Hillside Community Food Bank. Teamwork. The community service staff is dedicated to providing innovative and health and wellness, educational and recreational events for the Orange communities and its stakeholders. Our staff members work across division lines to assist each other in completing tasks and engaging the community. Our goal is to provide meaningful services and learning experiences to our vast Orange community. And we hope that the 2020 year continues to be full of new and positive experiences for all of our residents, partners, and visitors. Thank you so much for allowing me to present this presentation tonight. And I'm ready for the next part.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
Welcome.
All right, Council President, everybody, let's hit the books. Tab 7, page 59 is where we will begin. That is with community services, salary and wage request. Total requested in 2024's budget is $1,279,844. That includes the community services, salary and wage, and their overtime request. Last year's adopted budget for the total community services, salary and wage control line item was $1,279,757. Total spend, which comprised of salary and wages and overtime, was $1,339,711.08. The top line item, salary and wages, requested $1,229,844. Last year's request was quite similar, $1,229,757. Overtime, the request is for $50,000 this year, the same as the prior year. I just want to take a second to explain. You'll notice that some employees' salaries are budgeted outside of the grid, and there's some information that says that they're paid by grant above. You also see that the grant expires halfway through the year. This is a state grant, so the funding is from July through June. Ms. Wendy, we do anticipate receiving the Nacho and the Strengthening Health Department's grant again, right?
That's our anticipation, yes. We have six staff members on the grants now.
Okay. So all of those salaries, aside from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, aside from the 6 employee down, are completely budgeted outside of the operating budget. For the 6 employee down, 75% of their salary is paid by the grant, and then 25% is funded by the city. Any questions on page 59? If not, let's flip to page.
Council President?
Yes, Councilman Montague.
Now, I just wanted a little insight on employees that are hired through grants. Because we get a lot of grants and we hire employees through grants. At the end of the grant, what happens?
Depends, either they're absorbed in the budget. Chris, you want to take that question? Or
Sure.
maybe
It depends on the type of the grant. So if the grant expires and they were grant paid, then the position would expire unless funding was provided for it. But in the case of let's say a COPS hire grant, we have to absorb those positions into our budget.
So I just wanted to know, does that make sense to do that? Because we're taking on more expenses in the long run, correct? Does that
So
make sense?
in the COPS hire situation, it makes sense if you're trying to increase the size of your force because you get 3 years free of an increase in manpower.
Right. And then 30 years of employment, right?
Correct. Yes, but you're keeping your manpower at an appropriate level, and you did get 3 free years. So in the case of a Nacho grant, it would be a policy decision, but we wouldn't be budgeting for those positions unless we needed them.
Okay. I just wanted clarity. Thank you.
No more questions on page 59, or flip to page 60. It begins the community services O&E request. Their total $11,698. Last year's total budget was $17,777. Total spend was $2,612.46. The first line item is office materials and supplies. Nothing's being requested this year. Last year, $1,500 was budgeted, $1,500. Dues and publications, $350 being requested this year. Last year's request was $335. Employee training, $1,780 being requested this year. Last year's budget for that line item was $554. Equipment repair and maintenance, $1,000 being requested this year. Last year's budget included $700 for that line item. Lastly, advertising, $1,000 being requested this year. Last year's budget for that line item was $6,800. Any questions on page 60? If not, let's drop down to page 61.
Oh, hold on one second, Council President.
Yes, Councilman
I
Montague.
just wanted to ask this question about, each department, has office and supplies. Do we buy them all in bulk and we distribute them through, or are you just prorating it, or do we buy it all at one time? Because every department has supplies and materials. A lot of those supplies are common for all offices, correct?
No, so each department has their own supplies that are specific to the department. The health department might need syringes or things of that sort, versus administration is buying the bulk of the supplies, like the office material supplies. When we say paper, folders, pens, pencils.
Now that comes under one till though, the papers, the pens,
Yes.
that's all bought as a group, correct?
Correct, but what I'm saying is each department has their own office and material supply. So the health department has to buy like vital statistics paper. They have to buy different things that administration doesn't have to purchase for every department. And that's why
Right.
they don't have their own budget. So we can
Okay.
calculate how much is needed for their specific department.
All right, thank you.
Now, I guess his question, sort of, you got office and supplies here, and there's no budget for it this year. So that's in the budget that was talked about earlier, right?
Yes, ma'am.
So that's combined with I think was in the administrator's budget.
Yes,
So
ma'am.
supplies to these departments.
Yes, ma'am. But as we go on to the health department, as we go into the health division, the animal control division, you'll see that there will be items budgeted because they have
Right.
materials and supplies that are specific to their department or their division. Dropping down to page 60, flyers, radio, citywide mailers. That's a continuation of advertising on page 61. Travel allowance, $300 being requested this year. Last year's adopted budget had $330. Professional services, $7,268 being requested this year. The same amount was budgeted last year. No, excuse me, $7,568 was budgeted last year. It's $300 more. $300 more was budgeted last year. Nothing is budgeted for contractual services or other equipment this year. And nothing was budgeted for those two line items last year. Any questions on page 61?
I know I'm becoming a pest, but I gotta ask questions, correct?
Yes, sir.
The quarterly air pollution control service, what does that comprise of? What is that?
Where are you looking? Oh, under professional services.
Yes.
Yes.
This is Vinny on? This is the one of the for the health department. This is one of the to help with our air pollution control. I can get back to you on this. I was hoping that Vinny would be here to answer this question. You asked the question that that I was looking for. I think he's on vacation, but this is part of the services that we provide that's required by the state. I just don't know how to explain it fully, but I can get back to you.
Yes, I would like to know, just understand more about that.
Any other questions on page 61? If not, let's flip to page 62. It begins the after-school division within community services. First is their salary and wage request. Total this year requested is $16,250. The same as the 2023 budget, $16,250. Total spend was $617.20 for salaries and wages. Next is their O&E. They're requesting $650. Last year's adopted budget had $650 for that line item. Total spend was $145.50. Any questions on page 62?
Yes. Now the is the board and the city, do we contribute equally to that program?
To the 6 and 9 program, we used
Yeah.
to. We used to have a contract with the Board of Education. Since they moved into the Facilitron system, we have to go through the Facilitron system to use their buildings. And so we are no longer in a contract, and we're doing our 6 to 9 program in collaboration with the Board of Education, but through the Facilitron system.
So that means they are contributing to this, because we're providing recreation to the Board of Education students, correct? It should be.
We're providing recreation to their students and the other students within the city, citywide.
Right. Okay.
But Director Sites, are you actually paying for the facility?
Chris, can you answer that?
It depends upon the program and the facility.
I mean, at OPA 6 to 9 program, do we pay for that, or do we do it together?
We don't pay a facility fee. We do pay for Board of Ed staff that has to staff the building while we're there.
Okay. Thank you.
Council President?
Yes, Councilman Coley.
Yeah, what's the start and ending date for the 6 to 9 program?
6 to 9 program will begin the end of September, beginning of October, and it ends in April of 2025.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, if no more questions on page 62, we're gonna drop down to 63. 63 begins the health division's request. Nothing is budgeted for salaries and wages. Nothing was budgeted last year. But for their O&E, $17,125, the total request for the health division's O&E. Last year's adopted budget was $15,555. Total spend was $11,017.55. First line item, the popular line item, office materials and supplies, $4,200 being requested for the health division. Last year we budgeted $2,500. Any questions on page 63?
Yes, Council President.
Yes, Councilman Montague.
The adult care clinic medical supplies. When is that? When is it going to open? That doesn't exist right now, correct? Is that funds anticipated?
Director Sykes, you're muted. You're muted.
My apologies. Yes, we're hoping to open it soon. But I don't know if Chris wants to speak to the progress in the baby clinic with regards to opening it back up.
So we received a grant as part of the Nacho grant to remediate the space, which we've done. And now we're doing to go forward with the finishing products of the space, wall boarding, plumbing, electrical, etc. And there has to be some framing done as well. When that's concluded, we'll be in a position to be able to reopen the baby clinic.
Okay. What line item was that on for that construction? That was a line item here?
It's included within the Department of Public Works budget.
Okay. Thank you.
No more questions on page 63. Gonna flip to 64. Continuation of the health division's O&E. The first line item is uniform, clothing, etc. $200 being requested this year, same as the 2023 budget. Next, dues and publications, $865 is the request. Last year's adopted budget was $1,045. Programs and special events, $5,000 is the request for 2024. 2023 budget had the same exact amount, $5,000. Employee training, $400 is request, up $50 from $350 in 2023. Nothing is requested for advertising. Nothing was budgeted in 2023. Travel allowance, $1,260 is requested this year, same as the 2023 budget. Professional services, $200 is the request, same as the 2023 budget. Contractual services, $5,000 is the 2024 request for the health division. $5,000 was the adopted budget for that line item in 2023. Lastly, on page 64, other equipment, nothing is budgeted this year. Nothing was budgeted in 2023. Any questions on page 64?
Yes, Council President.
Yes, Councilman Montague.
As far as the health department, are they part of a union that pays for their allowance for, what is that, uniform allowance? Isn't that part of a union contract?
I know it is for the nurse, or it was for the nurse. Chris, you want to speak to the union contract?
Sure. Every position covered by the OMEBA contract has a uniform allowance.
So why are we budgeting $200?
Because we pay the uniform allowance.
And that's it for the entire year, $200?
Just for that position, yes.
Okay, thank you.
No other questions on 64. We're going to drop to page 65. Begins the animal control division. Nothing's budgeted for salary and wages. Everything's consolidated in community services. Nothing was budgeted last year. Animal control's O&E. The total requested this year is $79,475. 2023 budget was $77,870. Total paid to charge in 2023 was $77,406.28. First line item, office materials and supplies, $2,400 is being requested this year. Last year's adopted budget for that line item was $2,320. Uniforms, clothing, line item, $125 being requested this year, same as the 2023 budget. Dues and publications, $50 is their request. $50 was the adopted budget in the prior year. Lastly, communications, nothing is being requested for animal control. Nothing was budgeted last year. Any questions on page 65? If not, let's flip to 66. First line item is equipment repair and maintenance. Nothing is being budgeted this year. Nothing was budgeted last year. That's the same for the travel allowance line item for under animal control. Then comes professional services, $900 is budgeted this year. $875 is budgeted last year. Lastly, contractual services, $76,000 was budgeted this year. $74,500 was budgeted in 2023. I apologize. Again, $76,000 is being requested in 2024. $74,500 was budgeted in 2023. Still on page 66, you see older adult salary and wages. Nothing is budgeted this year. Nothing was budgeted last year. Everything is consolidated under community services. Any questions on 66?
Council President,
Yes, Councilman Montague.
the animal shelter. Where is that located? Who do we utilize now?
It's in Newark.
It's in Newark. Do we utilize them that much?
Well, so we do. Only because that is the negotiated amount that they have the monopoly almost in the area with regards to humane a shelter. And so they're actually giving us a discount because we've been using them for so long. So it's our township and other townships that use this service. The price is actually a little higher. So when we negotiate, we try to keep it at the same price or near the same price each year so that we can have these services for our, a place to put our animals, either the rescues or the ones that are deceased and we have to, remove the bodies.
I mean, if we had an estimate, maybe now can answer, how many times a year do we utilize them? More than 100 times?
Councilman
I
Mata,
can-
this also includes the veterinary services too.
With
they
the
come-
rabies and the
Oh, they do the shots as well.
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Dropping down to page 67, it begins the older adult O&E request. The total this year is 32,600. 2023 adopted budget was 33,400. The total they spent for their line items was $31,433.64. First line item, office materials and supplies, $800 is being requested this year. Last year, the adopted budget was $800. Dues and publications, $2,500 is a request. Last year's adopted budget had $5,000 for that line item. Programs and special events, $20,000 is being requested this year. Last year's adopted budget was $18,500 for that line item. Employee training, nothing is budgeted in 2024. Nothing was budgeted in 2023. Rentals and leases, $8,700 is budgeted in 2024. The exact same amount as 2023. Any questions on page 67? If not, let's flip to page 68. Continuation of older adults. O&E requests, equipment repair and maintenance. Nothing is budgeted this year. Nothing was budgeted in 2023. Travel allowance, $100 is requested this year. $100 was budgeted last year. Contractual services, nothing is requested. Nothing was budgeted in 2023. Other equipment, $500 is requested. Last year, $300 was budgeted. Below that, you'll see cultural affairs, salary and wages. Again, nothing is budgeted in 2024. Everything is consolidated to community services. Any questions on page 68?
Yes.
Yes,
Yeah,
Councilman.
Council
Hope.
President. Yeah, the travel reimbursement, I thought that you said that you was cutting that out.
Yeah, we will be cutting that out. Yes, sir.
So,
Councilman Montague?
no, it seemed like you didn't fit, you cutting it out. Are you taking it off of this? Why is it still budgeted?
It'll be removed when we go to the workshops.
Okay, thank you.
Page 69 begins cultural affairs O&E request. Total in 2024 is $59,450. The adopted budget for cultural affairs in 2023 was $41,600. Total pay to charge for cultural affairs O&E was $36,855.76. First line item is office materials and supplies. $2,950 requested this year. Nothing was budgeted for that line item last year. Dues and publications, nothing is requested in 2024. Nothing was budgeted in the prior year. Programs and special events, $50,500 is a request this year. $36,100 was budgeted in the prior year. Employee training, nothing is requested this year. Nothing was budgeted in the prior year. Cable TV channel 35, $5,500 is the request this year. $5,500 was the budget for 2023. Travel allowance and contractual services, nothing was requested in 2024. Nothing was budgeted in the prior year. Other equipment, $500 is requested this year. Nothing was budgeted in the prior year. Council President, we have another adjustment here.
Okay.
The programs and special events, the last line item, the last detail, 15,500, that can be removed. So that would bring the line item total down to 35,000. And then other equipment, you're going to remove as well. So that's a total reduction of 16,000.
What do you mean, other equipment miscellaneous to 500?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Right, Director Sykes?
Yes.
Okay.
So that's 40,000 total you're cutting out of that budget, right?
No. Cutting 16,000.
I'm sorry.
You tried it. So the total request would be $43,450. Any questions on page 69?
Yes, Council President.
Yes, Councilman Machakil.
I'm still wondering what kind of special supplies that are different from other departments that cultural affair use. What do they use that's different?
Well,
That's
we have our printed materials and then we have our banners that we do. Sometimes we do the banners that go straight across the street, Main Street. We're trying to put more posts in. We're working with DPW, put more posts in so that we can put those banners also across. We used to have them Central Avenue up by the White Castle. So we want to do that again. And the cost of banners have gone up significantly, but we are trying to provide for that.
Oh, so that's under miscellaneous materials and office supplies, not just.
That's what I budgeted under, yes.
Okay.
Director Sykes.
Yes,
on the flag raisings, are any of those cultures putting money into that? Are we funding all of the flag raisings?
No, they do. Well, they don't give us money, but they do help to collaborate with the event. So they may offer to purchase the food for the event and things like that.
Okay.
Council President?
Yes, Councilwoman Hibbert.
Niles, for the gospel, for the line item on the programs and special events, where's the Gospel, Caribbean, Latino, Jazz, Italian Festival? Last year, it didn't tell us how much was spent in that area. Would you happen to know that?
For the total for that programs and special events, $34,444.76.
Okay, so would the department be considered to increase that amount to contribute more to those programs?
I think that's why they had 50,000 initially, but Director Sykes
I
said.
think you misunderstood her question.
Joyce, can you explain it? Councilwoman Hilbert, what's your question? My name is Niall. There's no S on the end.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Niall.
Yes.
Let Councilwoman Hibbert ask her own question. What is your question again?
The question was, I didn't see how much was spent on this line item last year. So I was trying to figure out if this was an increase, and if not, would the department consider on increasing what we allocate for these events?
Are you talking about just for the one item, which is the Gospel Caribbean Latino Festival?
Technically, it's not one item. It's like 5 events thrown together. So they're not broken down separately. So they're sharing a budget of $7,500.
Yeah, but if that Director Sykes, and that goes back to my original question.
Which was?
What was your original question?
Contributions to those events.
Right. So I was just waiting for Councilwoman Hilbert to finish her question because it did sound like she might be offering to add money to our event. To which I would not have I would never have denied that. However, we do ask for sponsorships. We go out to various sponsors in this community and beyond to help us, to assist us with all of our festivals.
Okay.
And when she made that request, now just fainted. Back now.
I had another question to add to that section too.
I finish it. I think I understand your question now, and I'm sorry, Joyce. I wanted her to ask her own question, but it's $1,500 per event. That's what
Per event that we give. Okay. 1,500. Gotcha. Ooh. That's no money. I spoke to some of the promoters and some of the people that put it together, and I think for like the Latino festival, their events is like 2 days, and they spend about $20,000 to $25,000 a year just for that event. So they were looking for more participation, more support from the city. So that's why I was asking how much is given initially or historically, how much has been given. My other question was, I didn't see any of the events from Christmas. But I know that like the Christmas tree lighting, I know that's like a huge event for Councilwoman Wooten. Does cultural
That's in
affairs help?
recreation. That's in
Is underneath
recreation.
recreation? Okay. Got it. All right, that's it, Council President. Thank you. Thank you, Director Sykes.
You're welcome.
Any other questions on 69? Now we're going to turn to page 70. Begins the recreation salary and wage request. The total is $492,000. 2023 adopted budget $342,593. Total spend in 2023 $540,040.46. First line item, salaries and wages. Nothing was requested in 2024. Nothing was budgeted in the prior year. Part-time seasonal workers, 138,000 is requested in 2024. Last year's adopted budget was $41,661 for that line item. Summer part-time, 102,000 is the request for 2024. 2023's budget was $139,452. Mayor's Office of Employee Training, 60,000 is request this year. 2023 budget was 20,000. Overtime, nothing was requested in 2024. Nothing was budgeted in 2023. Recreational pools, 192,000 is a request in 2024. $141,480 was the budget for 2023. Any questions on the salary and wages for recreation on page 70? Not page 71 begins recreation's O&E request. Total request is $266,800. Total budget in 2023 for recreation's O&E was $183,136. And the total paid to charge in 2023 was $243,620.23. First line item, office materials and supplies, $5,200 being requested in 2024. The exact same amount as 2023's budget. Dues and publications, $600 being requested in 2024. Last year's request was $334. There's nothing budgeted for the after-school tutorial line item. That's up in the after-school division. Nothing was budgeted in this line item last year. Any questions on page 71? If not, we'll flip to page 72. Programs and special events is the first line item. The total for that line item is, total requested for that line item is 50,000. Last year's adopted budget for that line item was 30,000. Employee training, the request is 4,000 in 2024. The exact same amount in the prior year. Any questions on page 72? Not page 73. First line item is communications. Nothing is requested in 2024. Nothing was budgeted in 2023. Rentals and leases, $1,500 is the request in 2024. The exact same amount was budgeted in 2023. Equipment repair and maintenance, advertising, and travel allowance. All three of those line items have no requests this year. Nothing was budgeted in 2023 as well. Next line item, contractual services. The request is $200,000 in 2024. 2023's budget had $136,602 in that line item. And lastly, other equipment, $5,500 is requested for 2024. $5,500 was budgeted in the prior year. Any questions on page 73?
Council President,
Yes, Councilman Montague.
that $147,000, the partnership with the YMCA camp, where is it listed that we get the money back in the grants? Don't we get that money back?
Not in the grants. So we get a portion of the revenue after camp services, and it's in the contract with the YMCA.
But there's no
The
line item.
the con,
How much do we get back? What's the amount, Niall?
I believe it's, well, you asking me or not?
Yeah, I'm asking. I was going to the CFO. I know he can just pull it right up. But go ahead. You can tell me when.
I believe it's 20%.
20% of 147,000.
20% of the revenue that comes in.
But I
It's,
thought
it's
isn't there?
30%, it's 30% of the net profit,
Is it 30?
30% of the net profit.
So to give you a number, Councilman Montague,
Yes.
you're $44,569.
Okay, we'll talk about that. I was under another impression. So I thought we got a grant to help us with that a bit, a larger grant.
Maybe thinking about the, did we get a grant last year for the lifeguards? No.
No.
We'll talk about it later.
Okay. Any other questions on page 73? If not, Council President, that concludes tab 7 and community services. Director Sykes, do you have any closing remarks?
Just to say thank you once again for allowing me to present our 2024 budget request. I look forward to the outcome. Have a good evening.
Thank you.
You're
Do we
welcome.
have any questions? Does CBAC have any questions?
Yes, Council President, Karen Wells will lead the questioning in that particular category.
But she usually has her hand up. I don't see Miss Wells. Where is she? Miss Wells?
She's on mute.
Oh, I hope she didn't leave.
Well, no, I'm here.
Okay.
1 second, let me put my hand up.
Yeah, raise your
Okay.
hand so we can see you. Okay.
Okay, can you see me now?
Yes, we can see you.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I had a number of questions. On the recreation leaders, we have 1, 2, 3. This is on page 60, page 59. We have recreation leaders. Are they assigned to like specific recreation activities or just recreation leaders, whatever comes up?
Well, each one of our staff members have individual tasks that they should do. So they are assigned to individual activities.
Okay.
And the activity can change throughout the year.
Okay. And keyboarding, are those both crossed out? Keyboarding clerks?
Keyboarding clerk 1 and clerk, and then just regular clerk 1, keyboarding clerk 1 and keyboarding clerk 2. Is that what you're looking at?
Yes.
Were your questions about the crossouts?
Are they, those are both crossed out?
Yeah, those are both crossed out because they retired. So those amounts budgeted there are just their payouts. You'll see that consistent throughout the budget.
Okay. New Jersey.
Can I just say, so
Go ahead,
were
go
you
ahead.
just talking about keyboarding clerk 1 and 2 because 2 isn't crossed out? Just 1.
Well, there's 2 keyboarding 2s. There's 2 keyboarding 1s that's crossed out.
One is a keyboarding clerk 1, and then one is just a clerk 1.
Clerk 1, yeah. I'm talking about the keyboarding. My question is, keyboarding, there's no such thing as a key punch anymore. So what are their jobs?
So there are civil service titles that are antiquated. They really do administrative work within the department, but because of the nature of civil service titles, you have to put them into a title that fits their duties.
Okay.
Any more questions, Ms. Wells?
Yeah, I have more. New Jersey League of Municipalities Housing. We're paying for housing when people go to employee training?
Page 60?
Yes.
Yes, we pay for housing and registration when employees go for training for continuing education units.
Okay, all right. I had another one. Somebody asked about the quarterly air pollution, but I'll wait till somebody else can explain that. Yeah, now the after-school program 6 to 9, when does that occur?
6 to 9 program begins the end of September, beginning of October.
And that's administered by Department of Recreation?
Yes.
Okay, I don't have anybody in the school system. I'm just not aware of that, but I participated in the Parents University that was run by the school system. That wasn't part of that?
That's the schools program.
Right. So the after school 6 to 8 program is what program?
6 to 9 program. It used to be a collaboration between, it still is a collaboration between the city and the Board of Education because we use their facilities. However, the programming is done by the city.
Okay, and that happens every day after school?
Every day after school, yes.
In all of the schools?
No, not all of the schools. We have some in Lincoln, we have some at the high school, Park Avenue School, some in OPA, and I don't know the entire list, but those are some of the schools.
And we
Okay.
need to include Cleveland in the budget also, Ms. Sykes.
I don't know that it isn't, but I can check.
If it is not, we need to include it. That school should be back online in September.
Okay.
Okay, and under on page 64, programs and special events, community health fairs. We have a community health fair every year?
We do. We have it may not be big. If it's not the fair, then it's the educational workshops that we do. This year we had a community baby shower event. So
Yeah, I saw that.
those are the things that we do.
I have a question about that. Community baby shower, that's to benefit who?
So that's for expecting moms that just had a child, that may need items, education, referrals for services.
And we think that should be a responsibility of the city?
It's part of the community. So this is one of the needs in the community. There's just a need in the community. So what we do is we try to step in and assist.
Okay.
But Director Sykes, most of those items donated.
We did get a large majority of the items donated.
Okay, 1 second, let me just turn the page here.
Hey, Wendy?
Yes.
When? Oh,
yes.
Can you hear me? Okay, I'm sorry.
Vinny?
I didn't want to.
Yes.
Yeah, I wasn't on vacation. I just couldn't get through.
Hi, Vinny.
I remember. How you doing? I did hear Councilman Montague's question, and Essex Regional's out throughout all Essex County. They do everything from air monitoring, checking noise, industrial noise, like people complaining about like Beach Street regarding their compressors and stuff like that, and things like that. They also do all the gas stations get checked regarding their vents. All the spray booths, body shops, they have to have Essex Regional's permit up there for air pollution. Besides the air, water, and noise that they provide. They used to be our contact next to Nutley Hazmat. They're the second one in line throughout all Essex County. That's what they do. And every town has a representative board member on there that they have meetings like every 2 months on there. Like the health officer sits on that. We're one of the board members on there. I don't know if that answers his questions. Is there any other questions you want to know about that?
And you also do nail salons also, don't you?
Exactly. I was getting ready to say that.
No, we do the nail salons, not Essex Regional. We do it.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
Thank you, Vinny.
All right.
Hold on. I think we
Thank
cut
you, Vinny.
off.
No, I had
You're
other
welcome.
questions.
I think we cut off Miss Wells. Miss
Right.
Wells, you want to continue?
Yeah, under programs and special events, we've got the Martin Luther King program, senior bingo, Mother's Day, all of that. And we're spending $20,000 on that.
Which page, Mr. Wells?
Excuse me?
Which
Well,
page?
page,
67.
so page 67. So I see all of these programs listed. What are our expenditures? Say, for example, on our Martin Luther King program, what are we spending? Or what are we buying? Or what are we purchasing? What are we doing?
So it depends on the program. Sometimes we'll provide let me see, we'll provide food for the program. We may have to do banners for the program. We may have to do um a special, what do you call it, vendor for the program that we'll contract with. So it's a myriad of things. We may have to get supplies and such as you know, decorations and things like that for the program to make it festive for the community. There's a myriad of things.
Right, I understand that for the community. So I see all these programs, and most of these programs, I've been to a few of them myself, are for the seniors. But one thing that's not on here, and I don't know if this would come under your department at all, is we don't have a farmers market in Orange, when every other town does. And that would be something where we would have farmers come in, they pay us to have a farmers market, and we've never done that. Could that be considered?
The farmers market is on another page, Miss Wells. Did you
Yeah,
see?
but that farmers market, that's not a real farmers market. Like every other town has a farmers market once a week where farmers come in. The one that we're having is the one that's sponsored by Essex County, and that's bring your EBT card and things like that. So that's not a farmers market.
So previous years, sorry, Council President.
So don't confuse the two, because we want to keep this clean. So she was on page 67. So when you go back to 69, then you can talk about the farmers market. Miss Wells, are you finished with page 67?
No, one other thing. Rentals and leases, where we getting chairs and tents and portable restrooms. We've done that a number of times. The city doesn't own any tents and chairs, and we're renting that stuff a number of times.
So we do own
on this one, it's $8,700.
So we do own some tents and chairs throughout the year with all of our events. Sometimes they do break and we have to replace them. And so that's what this fee, you know, the portable restrooms we need for the events, of course, that's its own charge.
Right,
And
I
that
get
charge
that,
goes
right.
up each year, little by little each year. But we're just looking to replace whatever tents that may have been broken, or if we need additional tents, because we do not have anywhere to store the larger tents. Anything bigger than 10 by 10, we could hold a few 10 by 12 tents, but if we need anything larger, we need to rent them.
Okay, because again, when you get down on other equipment on page 68, it's again folding chairs for older adults.
Right. So what we've noticed in our older adult population is that a lot of them have trouble sitting in the lower chairs because of a hip replacement or what have you for long periods of time. And the rental places have higher chairs and it's cheaper to rent it because we only need it for maybe a few events where they're longer, such as the picnic, the mayor's picnic. And this way they can sit for longer periods of time without hurting themselves.
Okay, I have one other. We're on page 67, where we did programs and special events. Now on page 69, we've got programs and special events. And is that the right one? Hold on a second. Right, we've got it twice. Why is that twice?
Page 67 is for older adults. Page 69 is for cultural affairs. Different
But they're
division.
the same programs.
They are not the same programs.
Or you could say they're for
Well,
different.
it's a different population. So we're doing a program for older adults and then everyone else in cultural affairs. If it's an overlapping program.
Okay, so in older adults, we've got a Martin Luther King program, and then in programs and special events, we've got a Martin Luther King program. Those are two separate programs?
Yes, we can. We may do programs in the senior housings. So we'll go to whichever senior housing will let us in to do the programs for the seniors because it's easier for them. It's in their place, you know, it's easier for them to get to. And then we do another one for the community.
Okay, all right. And on this one, on page 69, where we talked about the farmers market, where does that happen? Or when has it happened?
So in previous years, we have had a farmers market where we were able to have farmers come into the city, and that took place over at the plaza, Tony Galenta Plaza, and then we had it at one point we had it in the back of City Hall. We would have a big farmers market each week, and they would come out. And then more recently, we've had it at Military Park. It's harder to get farmers to come out. They've been committed to other townships, the ones that are local. So we are working on doing it again where we could have the farmers market from May through September.
Okay, because I've been to the one at Tony Galento. I was at the one at the Military Park and the one behind City Hall. They were one day, and it was one farmer for each one of those. And I'm like, that's not a farmer's market.
That was some of the other issues is that the farmers would, you know, we had trouble getting them to come out. One of the farmers passed away. So there were several issues that took place there. I think, so we're working on rectifying that so that we can have more farmers and longer terms for them to come in. It would probably only be once or twice a week though, would not be every day.
No, it wouldn't be every day, but I patronize all of the other farmers markets that occur once a week, but they all go through Jersey Fresh, which sets up the farmers markets in every town. And we're the only town that doesn't do that.
We're not the only town, but we are working through Jersey Fresh.
Well, Montclair, South Orange, Union, they all do it because Summit, because I go to all of them and they're every week. And it's a real farmers market with various farmers. Anyway, okay, but that's the end of my questions. Right, that's the end of my questions. I don't have anything else.
Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Council President, that concludes tab 7. We're going to flip to tab 10. Last but not least.
Okay, all right, you're good. Thank you. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Tab 10, page 103. Last but not least, the Division of Public Works. Marty Mays, are you ready? Mute yourself, Marty. Give your introduction, your opening statement.
Marty, can you unmute?
You have any audio, Marty?
Give him a minute.
What is this? Oh, he got the thing on.
Hello, can you hear me now?
Yes.
All right. Okay. Good evening, everybody. How do I move slide to slide?
Arrow.
And what I hit? I'm not ready yet, but I just want to know. Oh, like this?
Go up to the top and hit view.
Yeah.
Marty, did you send the clerk's office a copy of your presentation?
Did it go? Yes.
So you want Trish to do it for you?
No, I'm gonna get it. Just stand right here.
Okay.
All right, good evening again. Is you ready?
Hit view. Again.
All right, good evening again. Just bear with me with this. First, I want to give my mission statement. It's a short statement. I just want to say the Public Works Department has the responsibility of maintaining the quality of life in an urban environment. The numerous tasks and services which are accomplished daily affect the lives of the entire population. There are very few aspects of life in Orange that the Public Works Department does not touch. Oftentimes, we are truly the first responders. Infrastructure, roads and sidewalks, park improvements, and project management and grant management are going to be the focus of my presentation tonight. No matter what challenges we face on a daily basis, our goal is always to continue to meet the needs of the citizens of our community. All right, so slide 1, I just went and took the information that I received from the VA and calculated what grants in 2023, what the Public Works Department oversees. You can see from that we oversee a sizable amount of the grants in the city. The second one is just for the first quarter of 24, and you can see we are on our way to a great start, and I think we're probably going to be better than 80% going forward. Okay, so this is one of the things that you guys have heard me talk about. I'll run through it brief. This is the new grant that we got. I went down to Camden, that's the upper picture with all the 10 municipalities. Only 10 municipalities in the state received it. It's an $850,000 grant. You can see the breakdown and the bullets, tree-related, tree planting activities, tree inventory. The great thing about this as well, the second paragraph outlines the $12,500 that we're going to receive for education. And the good thing about this grant is that all the work is done by contracted professionals. I know that's a good point. I know people want to hear that and understand and know that the money is going to be spent with contracted professionals. The bottom picture is me and the director of Public Works for Camden. That park where we received it was in Camden. You can see in the middle there, I met the head of DEP. It was good to meet him. I see his name on a lot of documents, so now I could put a face with a name. Next slide. Some other accomplishments are just some basic accomplishments, and I'm really proud of them. Number one, we redesigned our recycling and garbage brochure. It took a couple of years, really, because it was such an effort, and it was a lot of cooperation and a lot of hard work, and we finally did that. The other thing that I'm promoting now is also we have from DEP, Recycle Coach. I know the BA told me they have it in West Orange. We now have it here in Orange. It's a mobile application where you can log on from your phone and perform various tasks that you used to do only by calling the office. If you have missed garbage, you can go on this mobile app. It also allows you to take a picture of something that you want to dispose of, and it tells you exactly how to get rid of it through utilizing us, Orange Public Works Department. Okay, so next slide. I just want to show the updated recycling brochure. It's very colorful. Everything is based on a color prompt. It's a lot of information. This is it all in a nutshell. It's really good. It's really color coordinated. This here is our promotion for Recycling Coach, the new app. You can see everything is done. What's this called again? With a QR code. I even have the QR code on my card. All right, next one. The other thing that I'm proud of is our Buildings and Ground Division. I do want to mention that earlier we did speak about this in the presentation. Actually, the work that's being performed in the baby clinic is work that's being performed by employees of Public Works, and they are being paid out of the grant from the health department. And I think that's a great testament to show that we do have individuals with skills. And that's how it used to be. We used to have a lot of people with different skills in each department, and they would share their skills to get things done. So we are definitely moving in that right direction. Okay. Oh, one other thing. Can you go back? I want to go back. I just want to mention, I know I haven't gotten many questions with everybody. When you come to City Hall, you've seen the generator. and back at City Hall. You know, given the amount of emergencies and things that we've been having with the weather and through the help of the health department as well, we're going to try to bring that generator online and have it for a backup. Okay. The other thing here I wanted to point out was our road program, pavement, sidewalks, curbs. And the first thing I want to point out is the time frame. The time frame is at the top of that page there. It shows from July 1, 2012 to May 31st, 2024, roughly the years that the mayor has been here. And the grant amount that we received over those years is roughly 10 million or 9 million. And we took out a loan in 2018 from the New Jersey Infrastructure iBank program. And those are the roads that we did that are listed there. But the idea with this is that for the first couple of years, there was only one round of funding. And that funding is your normal state DOT funding, which only allowed you to get 2 or 3 streets at a time. So what happened is for those first couple of years, based on the track record of the people before me, we spent a lot of money correcting a lot of their problems and bringing this up to speed, but it still was only 2 to 3 roads a year. So we went with that. And then in 2018, we panicked, or 2017, we panicked. We said, there's no way in the world that we're going to be able to do what we want to do with just doing 2 or 3 roads a year. So we went to the infrastructure bank, and this is what we did. Also, you see the total streets paved to date is 73. So we have 17 in the north, 18 in the east, 16 in the west, and 22 in the south. Oh, that's about 44% of roads done, because there's 166 roads in the city. Okay, the next thing I want to talk about is the New Jersey DOT LTPF. I told you guys that it was only one main grant at this time, but in 2022, they added this new funding, LTPF funding, and this was the first time that we applied for that. And those are the roads that we did right there. And then also the other side talks about the CDBG roads. We are in such a rush to get these roads done that starting in 2021, we started to include 1 road a year in our Essex County CDBG allocation. Next slide. Okay, so you see for the year 2023, we have Tompkins Street that we're trying to get approved. It's a pending right now with the county. That'll be the 3rd street since 2021 that we're trying to utilize funding for. And the other ones under that, the NJDOT 2023, those are current roads that have been approved. So you look at those next 7 roads are roads that we plan on doing this summer: Tremont Avenue, Haxton Avenue, Austin Place, Mosswood Avenue, Valley Street. I know that's a big one for a lot of people out there. South Center Street and Perot Street, some of our main thoroughfares. So those will be the next 7 that we're working on. The next thing I want to talk about, I think this might be out of order a little bit, but it's our CDBG program that we work with the county. And one of the things we're working on now is a pending project, probably be starting in a couple of weeks. Well, part of it already started, but we're working on Central Playground. One of the things I want to say about the parks is that initially we were only allowed to do, based on the funding, 1 or 2 things in each park per year. And it really didn't amount to anything. So what we did was, Keith Pressey, I have to give him a lot of credit. He instituted in the Open Space Fund. And with that Open Space Fund, we was able to do more. So that's what we've been doing in the parks. You'll see it. That's what we've been doing in the parks, and you'll see it as I go on with the presentation. Next slide. All right, so that slide was out of place. Let me go back to the roads again. I'm sorry about that. What you're looking at here, the LTPF, the new round of funding that came out for 2023. These are the roads that we applied for. And a lot of the council meetings, you hear a lot of people lately asking me about these roads. And I'm telling them that the roads on this list is pending. So you see that. And then what we want to do for 2025, we want to do all of Haywood Avenue. That's what we're going to be applying for next. All right. Hey, and then this is another project that you heard me talk about. It's the Scotland Road Gateway Beautification Project. It's a federal project the funds are administered by New Jersey DOT. And the good thing I want to highlight about this is that second bullet is that we are also in what they call the Design Assistance Program. And what that allows for, it allows for the engineering costs to be paid for through this program, which saved us a couple $100,000. So which is a good thing. The third bullet is the location. It's the on Scotland Road between Freeman and McChesney. What it is everybody knows that's the thoroughfare, or that's the gateway entrance into the city from South Orange, Maplewood. It's a heavily traveled corridor. Right now, it's a pretty hard space with all the concrete and everything. What we're hoping to do is to take the fence and move the fence back and create some space, replantings, re-tree, put 20 new trees up in that area to soften the space. And what you see now, the shrubbery and all that you see on the tracks there, we want to make that into a landscape terrace effect area. I'm pretty excited about this project. It's a 1.4 million, roughly 1.5 million, and we're going to begin to work on that. Then one more thing I want to mention is an opportunity for public space. If you know that area down at the end, it could be a nice little seating area. That's the corner of McChesney and Scotland. We're hoping to put a little pocket park there so that if you're on your way to the train station or whatever, if you want to sit down, you're waiting for your train, have a cup of coffee or something, that's what we want to utilize that for, a small pocket park. So that's a project that we're currently working on now. And then this slide is, I talked about the 73 roads that we completed out of the 166. What this simply is just the highlighted areas are the roads that have been done. It just shows you. And then also the next slide here, this is our iBank. It shows a couple of the projects where we implemented new sidewalk, and you see it says New Jersey iBank Transportation Project. Orange receives 8.6 million in transportation bank loans, saving ratepayers approximately 2.3 million. So it turned out to be a good deal all the way around for the city. The next thing I want to talk about is the parks. From 21 to 23, same time frame. The first one, everybody knows, we just completed Military Park. You're getting the aerial view of it right now. Really, this is a great space. I think everybody knows that the project turned out to be very successful. The thing about it, which made it good, was we also utilized UEZ funds that paid for some of the granite that we used in the park, and it just made it a different project. Also, I wanted to mention that this was part of our overall Main Street project, and with being funded by the Green Acres Fund, it allowed us the opportunity to break off this project and hopefully lower the cost on the full project that's going to encompass all of Main Street and bring down the cost. We did go out to bid for that project and it came in over budget. The next slide is College Park on Alden Street. You can look and see the things that we did, roughly the new turf, new playground equipment, lighting, benches, It's a great space. It's heavily used. I've been on the police about policing it. It's getting so much use. People, they hang out there. They don't want to leave there, which is not a good thing. All right. That's good enough. Okay, and then the last project, or the next project, is Ropes Playground, which was a total redo of this park. Great space, basketball court, painted, new gazebo, benches, spray area, new play equipment all the way around, new play surface. Okay, that's good. Next one I want to talk about is Central Playground. Look at the funding that we spent there. The park is really turning into be a nice place after a lot of years. Everybody knows the story about it. The baseball field and the basketball courts were in poor condition. It really, really was bad. We worked on that first. The field house was in poor condition. We put in a new modular field house. Then we went with the spray park, which was a success. It was something that we didn't have here in Orange. And that last project is just new play equipment that we just installed. Most people know it because they know we put in the workout area, which is heavily used. This here is the park, and this is the new reprogramming funding I talked about that we received from the county. And the highlight of this is, if you know Central Playground, it's the only park that doesn't have a gazebo. If you see to your left there, we're going to add a gazebo. And then also, there's a lot of concrete there, what we perceive to be a lot of unnecessary concrete. So we're going to take some of that concrete away and provide more play space for the kids. And then also, we're going to work on the concrete within that gazebo area in that front section there. And then the big thing also is about the fencing. If you see the dotted line around the perimeter, that's one of the last full iron fences that we have around our city parks. And what we're going to do for the first time ever, we're going to take the fence away, have it dipped, have it repaired, and we're going to put it right back and have it sandblasted and repainted. So we should be pretty good with that. Next. And this here, I put this in the slides, this presentation, because our spray park that I mentioned earlier was flooded by, I think, Hurricane Ida. And because it was flooded by Hurricane Ida, we lost the brain that was built into the ground. So this is a project, there's two funding sources. It's funded by FEMA, which is funding the remediation, which basically is lifting this house 6 feet off the ground. So if it ever floods again, and it's also being funded by our basic insurance is funding part of it as well. So we're bringing the spray park back online. It's been a long time. And we're planning a splash park grand opening. So you'll be seeing more about that coming in the next couple of weeks. We don't anticipate that it'd be a long process before we're ready to open. Also mentioned Colgate Park as well. One of the things we did, number one there, we did the chlorination and filtration. We improved it, brought it up to, today's standards. We just did the pool over. Everybody remembers that. Made it ADA accessible, changed basically everything in there. It was the last pool in the city to be renovated. It was in very poor shape. Every year we opened it, prior to it being fixed, it would cost us between $5,000 and $10,000 just to get it open. So also I want to talk about the skate park area there. There was some environmental stuff we had to do concerning the new skate park that we built over in that area. That was a brownfield site. So we did have to do some environmental work there. And then next, we just finished the basketball courts. I know Councilman Montague was following that whole project. We just finished all 4 courts and it looks good. All right. Next. Okay, this is Metcalf Park. You see we did the basketball court there. We just finished doing that. This is a little aerial of that section. The baseball fields we've been working on. You'll see here, we did an actual repair, $40,000 we spent on redoing certain aspects of the baseball fields. Also, we do an annual cleanup of the field as well, but we want to try to make sure we maintain these fields. The more you let it go, the harder it is to bring it back. And the basketball court I did mention already. Oh, and I also wanted to mention the electric scoreboard that was put in early on. I know a lot of the residents in that area approached the mayor, so he was adamant about getting that in, and we did get that in. Next. Okay, so this is the timeline. So the basketball court was considered phase 1 for Metcalf Park. Phase 2 is everything else. We did receive funding for that, and we just took the bids last Friday. And this is our timeline for Metcalf Park phase 2. And basically that's the funding, 981. And the underneath in bullets, what I'm pretty excited about is we're gonna install a small dog park there with drainage and a water service. And another thing I'm proud of is we're gonna redo the tennis course, and they're gonna be tennis courts, and they're also gonna be striped for pickleball. We're gonna add lights to the basketball court, and we're gonna expand the pool deck. So if you want to go there now as a family, you could go there, and there'll be ample room for you to have a chair or a towel. And we heard some of the concerns of the public, and we're not going to use concrete. We decided to use like an AstroTurf to give it a better feel. We're also going to redo the asphalt circulation path in the park. That's how cars get around and people get around in that area. And that's pretty much it for that. Next. Oh, here's, I just wanted to put in, I wanted to show a picture. This is Ropes basketball court. It was just done. I took this picture, I think like last week, one day. I just wanted to show how good that I came out. And this is the same colors that we used at Colgate. Oh, I'm sorry. On the other slide, I'm missing some of the other things. We're going to redo the gazebo at Metcalf. And we're going to do some new electrical and some new lights, specifically in that lounge area that I spoke about. Next. This here is the small section of the dog park. As you can see, we're going to take partially part of the parking lot right here. And it'll be a place to take your dog right now. The people bring dogs into the parks all the time. And one of the goals of going forward is to somewhere in town find enough space to build a standalone dog park. It's one of the things that I really want to try to get accomplished within the next 4 years. Okay, this is county. Let me see what we got. Oh, this is just to show that one of the things I didn't mention going back to buildings is how we trying to maintain this building. We trying to maintain the historic aspects of City Hall. And one of the things we're going to do through the county and our CDBG money that we're expecting, we're going to do the front entrance. I don't know if anybody noticed, we just had the pillars painted. It looks really good. And also we're counting on $340,000 for South Valley Road. I know a lot of the council people have questioned me about that. That road is in bad shape. It turns out that last year West Orange applied for it. And believe it or not, the right-of-way of that street belongs to the city of Orange. The houses are in West Orange, but the street and the sidewalk belong to Orange. So we had to file the application. We filed the application on our own. And right now, as you see, it's pending. Next slide. This is the last slide. Since that last section was about parks, we wanted to talk about Orange Park, even though it's controlled by the county. One of the things we did was me, myself, and Ray, we attended the meetings, and some council people as well. Everybody with a great interest in the city was at that meeting advocating for the new community center. So we just wanted to mention that I guess this lower picture is one of the centers that's active now. And then we want to show the location of where the new one's going to be. The new community center in Orange Park is going to be. I believe they're going to break ground in August. If I have it in the fall, okay.
Thank you, Marty. Does that conclude your presentation?
Yes. Yes, that concludes it.
All right, thank you very much. That being said, Council President, we're going to hit the books. Department of Public Works is under tab 10. They begin on page
10, man, get your book.
103. First division is the Public Works Directors Division. Salary and wage request for 2024 is $466,805. That's comprised of salaries and wages and overtime. The total request for 2023's budget was $406,669.
See if you
Total
can find
spent.
Where we at?
Hey, Marty, you can mute yourself, please.
I'm sorry.
No problem. Total spent for salary and wages and overtime in 2023 for the Public Works Directors Division, $425,439.84. Also on page 103, it begins the Public Works Director's O&E request. For 2024, the total request is $180,300. The total that was budgeted in 2023 for their O&E request was $249,270. And the total spent for the Public Works Director's O&E in 2023, $302,876.77. First line items, office materials and supplies under their O&E. $3,000 is the request this year. Nothing was budgeted last year. Next, uniforms and clothing. Nothing was requested in 2024. Nothing was budgeted in 2023. The last line item on page 103 is dues and publications. $1,750 is requested in 2024. $1,700 was budgeted in 2023. Any questions on page 103? If not, we're going to flip to page 104. Excuse me. The first line item is employee training. The request this year is $18,900. Last year's budget for that line item was $18,950. Next line item is communications. The request is $16,000. Last year's budget for that line item was $23,000. Equipment repair and maintenance. Nothing was requested in 2024. Nothing was budgeted in 2023. Printing and binding, the request is $5,650. Last year's budget for that line item was $4,650. Last line item on page 104 is advertising. The request is $8,000. The 2023 budget was $7,000. Any questions on page 104? If not, drop down to page 105. It begins with travel allowance. Nothing is budgeted in 2024. Nothing was budgeted in 2023. Next is professional services. The total for that line item's request is $127,000. You notice that there's a big administrative adjustment to the effect of $918,480. In 2023, we budgeted $193,970 in professional services. Last line item on page 105 is contractual services. Nothing is budgeted in 2024. Nothing was budgeted in 2023. Any questions on page 105? If not, we're going to flip to 106. This begins the street services division. Salary and wage request is first. The total requested for salary and wages and overtime totals $1,421,310. The prior year's adopted budget was $1,143,559. Total pay to charge, $1,335,941.66. Any questions on page 106? If not, drop down to 107. You'll see the overtime request, which was included in the total pay to charge in 2023 that I just mentioned, and the request was in the total that I mentioned requested in 2024. Below that begins the streets division's O&E request. Total requested is $477,650 for 2024. The total in adopted budget in 2023 was $542,100. The total paid to charge for all the street service divisions O&E line items, $360,086.93 in 2023. First line item is office materials and supplies. Nothing's requested. Nothing was budgeted in the prior year. Uniforms and clothing, $41,000 is being requested for 2024. 2023's budget had $40,500 budgeted. Hardware and supplies, $23,000 being requested in 2024, the exact same amount as the prior year. Nursery landscaping supplies, nothing is being requested in 24. Nothing was budgeted in 23. Same with community services program initiative. Nothing is being budgeted in 2024 or was budgeted in 2023. Any questions on page 107?
Council President,
Councilwoman, yes, Councilman Montague.
this is just observation. For 4 years, I noticed we always have to buy new rake, shovels, brooms, and widgets. What happens every year? That they don't go from year to year? We have to get new ones every year. Maybe we do. Somebody enlighten me.
Marty, on mute.
Yeah, a lot of that equipment is just basic wear and tear. Remember, we cutting and raking and shoveling. We do have to replace it.
And they disappeared or where are they?
That used to be the problem. That's not the problem now. It's just mainly wear and tear.
Okay. That was just a, observation.
No other questions on page 107. We're going to flip to 108. First line item is parking meter expenses. $31,000 is a request for 2024. $28,000 was budgeted in 2023. Next, rentals and leases. $1,600 is the request for 2024. The exact same amount was budgeted in 2023. Equipment repair and maintenance. $17,500 is the request for that line item in 2024. The exact same amount was budgeted in 2023. Street signage materials, $59,500 is a request for 2024. It's up $2,000 from $57,500 in 2023. Last line item, traffic signal repairs. $75,000 is a request this year. That includes the administrative adjustment. Last year's budget was $95,000 for this line item. Any questions on page 108?
Council President?
Councilwoman Hilbert?
Yes, thank you. Director Mays, does your street team use a compactor when they're fixing up the potholes?
They use a tamper, which is, they take it and tamp it down, not a
Yeah,
compact.
okay. Has your department considered that and maybe it would actually extend the lifeline or life cycle of the work that you guys do? So it would minimize you having to go back out within months to repair it. Cause sometimes, when you refill the potholes and then the rain comes and it washes some of it away.
Yeah, we haven't really thought about getting a machine like that. Right now, we're satisfied with tamping, and also there's a couple of other new technology that's out that I'm looking at possibly bringing in and utilizing this winter. It's actually a way to fix in the midwinter. So there's some new things we're looking at, but we haven't looked at a roller.
Okay. Would it require your team to have like a special license, or you all
No,
could just
what
go
I'm
train
looking
with
at
it?
is bringing in is a company that specializes in this. A lot of towns are using it now. Like I said, you don't have to wait all winter. If you have a bad spot that you need to repair, you can repair it in the midwinter. So that's what I'm looking at.
All right. Well, I'm definitely interested in hearing that when you're ready to present it. Especially if it's gonna be it's gonna help us with the labor, like the manpower, getting the guys, especially during the summer. I feel really bad for them when they're outside in the dead heat trying to refill those potholes. And so it's like, especially if we had the right equipment, maybe the potholes, the patching will last a little longer.
Well, the patching, it comes up because, like I said, most of the repairs are in the winter, and in the
Yeah.
winter, you only have winter mix. You don't have regular hot asphalt, and it's just not the same thing. That's partly the problem. But going back to that new technology I was talking about, the main thing is to see if it's cost effective. And that's what I'm
That was
looking
gonna,
at right now.
yeah, that was gonna be my next question, if it was gonna save you guys money when it came to the repairs. Okay. All right, I'll keep a lookout for that. Thank you so much.
All right.
Councilman Montague?
Yes, Marty, can you explain to me, the parking meter processing fees at 2,000 a month?
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm gonna have to defer that to now. Can you answer that now?
Yeah,
Sure.
108.
They charge us per meter. That was a contract that was negotiated. So it's about $2,000 a month.
What are they charging? What's the fee? What is it for?
So they charge us two fees. One is for processing each credit card transaction, and the second is for hosting essentially the software to be able to conduct credit card transactions on each parking meter.
Those are the current meters we have on Main Street? Or the ones that's in the lots, the new ones?
Those are the ones that are in the lots.
Okay, we don't utilize those yet, right?
Excuse me, those are the ones on Main Street.
Really? You can use,
Yeah, the ones on Main Street, you can use credit cards. Yeah, coins and credit cards.
I always thought you could park for free on Main Street. Cause nobody, I don't even know why we paying that fee. But we'll talk about that offline.
Going forward, we're looking to defer the cost to the customer. That's still being changed.
Okay. Thank you.
No more questions on page 108. We're going to drop down to page 109. First line item is street repairs. The request this year is 105,000. It's down 50,000 from 155,000 in 2023. Next, contractual services. 66,000 is a request this year with administrative adjustment, 100,000 being taken out. That brings it to the exact same amount that was budgeted in 2023 at 66,000. Next is traffic control. 50,000 is the request this year. 50,000 was the request in 2023. Last line item is other equipment. $8,050 is a request this year. Last year's budget for that line item was $8,000. Any questions on page 109? If not, we'll flip to page 110.
Yeah, Council President, sorry, I couldn't unmute. Where
Councilman
in this budget line is the expense for the street sweepers?
So it was taken out of line with the contractual services line.
Let me see.
You'll see 100,000 in, and then 100,000 was taken out.
What page is that? I'm sorry.
Page 109 under contractual services. It's the second.
Councilman Ross, do you mean the purchase of the sweepers?
Yes.
Yeah. Well,
What's that?
there was a purchase for like two, right?
Yes.
That's in a different location.
Okay. We haven't gotten to it yet.
It's not included in here. That's a part of the capital budget.
Right.
The budget that we're going through is only in the operating budget.
Okay.
No more questions on page 109. Flip to page 110. It begins the snow removal division of DPW, salary and wages request. Total requested for 2024 is 50,000. The exact same amount was budgeted in 2023. Total spent in 2023 for snow removal salary and wages was $7,480.52. Beneath salaries and wages, we have the snow removal O&E request. Total requested for 2024 is 105,000. That's for the two line items listed beneath. The total budgeted for 2023 for snow removals O&E was $128,500. The total spend was $27,365.59. First line item under snow removal O&E is snow removal supplies. We have 50,000 that's budgeted in 2024. 68,500 was budgeted in 2023. And then the last line item on page 110 and under snow removal O&E is contractual services. 55,000 is being budgeted in 2024. 60,000 was budgeted in 2023. Any questions on page 110?
Council President?
Yes, Councilman Montague.
I know last year we had a mild winter, correct? I don't think we really had a lot of snow last winter. So do we still have a surplus of Morton salt? We're requesting 50,000. We probably won't have to use all of it, correct?
Yeah, but the last 2 winters have been mild, but you
Right.
know, we never know when, so we always stocked up.
I mean, but we store it on our
Yes,
premises, right?
we built a salt dome, yes.
Right, so isn't that practically filled?
Yes, yes.
I could use that in one snowstorm.
Yeah.
Okay. And the brine, do we use any brine last year?
We just started to use the brine at the end of the season. So we basically filled with brine and salt.
So that brings me to emergency snow plow and de-icing. Why do we have de-icing if we have salt and brine? What service we didn't budget any money for that, correct? No.
No.
So I'm sorry. All right, that's it for me.
All right. No more questions on 110. We'll drop down to 111. It begins the refuse removal division of Department of Public Works. The total requested $3,276,713. The total in the 2023 budget was $3,272,568. The total spend $2,804,405.22. First line item, materials and supplies. The request for 2024 is $18,500. Total requested in 2023 budget was $15,119.50. Contractual services, $2,633,213 is the request for 2024. 2023 budget was $2,509,880.50. Solid waste recycling reimbursements. Total request for this line item is $625,000. The total for the 2023 line item, $475,000. Any questions on page 111?
Yes, Council President.
Yes, Councilman Montague.
As far as the dog waste dispenser and where else do we have it besides Metcalf? The dispensers. Marty?
Councilman, they at all the parks we have them.
That all the parks, Colgate?
Yes.
I never
Yes.
said yeah, Colgate?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Moving on to page 112. Begins the buildings and grounds salary and wage request. The total requested is $284,964 for 2024. That includes salary and wages and overtime. Total budgeted for 2023 for both line items was $228,654. The total spend in 2023, $326,491.71. Any questions on page 112? Now drop down to page 113. It begins the O&E request for buildings and grounds. Total requested in 2024, $726,900. The total budgeted in 2023, $693,992. The total spend paid or charge in 2023, $378,810.43. First line items, office materials and supplies. The request is for $15,000 in 2024. The budget for that line item in 2023 was also 15,000. Hardware and supplies, the request this year is 26,000. In 2023, the budget for that line item was 46,000. Nursery landscaping supplies, the request this year is 7,000. The adopted budget for that line item in 2023 was 12,000. Any questions on page 113?
Yes, a real quick question. Council President,
Yeah.
annual remediation fees for 15,000. What is that all about?
Mario?
Those are annual fees that we pay to the state, related to certain projects where there was some type of remediation. It's a small amount, but we pay yearly for that.
Well, but we pay for the remediation, but we have to pay.
Yeah, it's like fees or some type of tax.
Okay. All right.
Moving on to page 114.
It is.
Janitorial materials and supplies. The request in 2024 is 45,000. The adopted budget for that line item 2023 was 40,000. Next, renovations and repairs. The request is 36,000. The prior year's budget was 84,500. Any questions on page 114? Now we'll drop down to 115. It's only one line item with details, and that's equipment repair and maintenance. The request is for $218,400 in 2024. The prior year's budget for that line item was $73,900. Any questions?
Yes. Council President, what do we attribute the increase? Why the increase?
You talking about the increase? Well, the increase is basically because the same story, the buildings that we trying to maintain are in pretty poor shape just due to age. And we have a lot of issues related to that. But we're trying to do the best job we can do. Especially in this area, we hate to see cuts because that means a very prominent project probably won't get done. So a lot of the issues are dealing with the age of the buildings and the age of the infrastructure.
So one of the new contracts I could speak to is the Cintas fire alarm contract.
Okay.
Mr. Clements, Director Mays, is the front of City Hall included in this? I know you guys been saying for months you were going to upgrade, replace the doors, all of that.
Yeah, the doors, I mentioned that earlier in my presentation. We're going to receive funding from Community Development Block Grant for that.
So it's not included in this amount?
No.
Okay.
It's a separate grant.
All right. How soon do you think you're going to get that done?
I'm not sure because I'm not sure when the funding is going to hit. I know there's a meeting on the 20th of June where they're going to be discussing it, but I don't know how soon. I'll get back to you on that.
Okay.
Moving on. Page 115 begins with contractual services. The 2024 request is $342,000. 2023 budget was $361,092. Other equipment, the request this year is $37,500. The 2023 budget was $61,500. Any questions on page 116? Now we'll drop down to 117. That begins equipment vehicle maintenance, another division within DPW. Nothing was requested for salaries and wages. 2024, nothing was budgeted in 2023. Equipment vehicle maintenance O&E. Total requested for all their line items 2024 is $893,585. It's down from 2023's adopted budget of $983,557. Total paid to charge in 2023, $796,626.35. The first line item within that division is office materials and supplies. The request this year is $5,300. The exact same amount was budgeted in 2023. Any questions on page 117?
Yes, Council President.
Yes, Councilman Montague.
To Marty, do we have a certified licensed mechanic that works on our vehicles?
No, we had a certified licensed mechanic and he left, so we have a person that works on the vehicle, but he's not certified.
Yeah, we send it out to a contract.
But we also send work out to a contractor as well, Select Towing. So some of the smaller items like changing the oil and things like that, the in-house mechanic, or we utilize him for that.
Okay, thank you. I didn't know Ray was there. Hello, Ray.
Hey, Monty, how you doing, Council?
How you doing? I didn't hear you. All right.
Okay, moving on to page 118. As we flip the page, the top line item is motor fuel. The request in 2024 is 475,000. The adopted budget in 2023 was 505,000. Tires and tubes, the request this year is 45,000. The exact same amount was budgeted in 2023. Motor vehicle parts and accessories, 115,000 is budgeted in 2024. 165,000 was budgeted in 2023. Last line on page 118 is oils and fluids. 15,000 is a request for 2024. 15,000 was the adopted budget for 2023. Any questions on page 118? If not, we'll drop down to page 119. Vehicle repair and maintenance is the first line item. $149,285 is the request this year. $190,932 was the adopted budget for that line item in the prior year. Beneath that, we have contractual services, which is the last line item in the equipment vehicle maintenance division. 89,000 is the request for 2024. $57,325 was the adopted budget for that line item in 2023. Any questions on page 119? Now let's flip to page 120. It begins the Parks Division. So you'll notice it has $1 for the total requested in 2024 and 2023. The Parks Division, all expenses are budgeted in the Municipal Open Space Trust Fund. So the approximate charges for 2024 will be the salary and wage, $81,416.34 plus the $25,000 in overtime, coming to the $106,416.34. That'll be the total requested for salaries and wages in the Parks Division. Total requested in 2023 was $103,822.14. Total spent or paid or charged in the salary and wages for parks in 2023 was $119,307.88. Beneath the salary and wages begins the parks O&E request. The request this year also shows $1 because all expenses are budgeted in the Municipal Open Space Trust Fund. The total for all their requests this year, $442,371. Total requested in 2023, $229,918. First line item, state and federal fees and taxes. Nothing was requested in 2023. Nothing is requested in this year's budget in 2024. Any questions on page 120? Now we'll drop down to page 121. First line items, hardware and supplies. Nothing is being requested in 24. 4,000 was budgeted in 2023. Field nursery landscaping supplies, 2,000 was request this year. 5,000 was the request last year. Chemicals and supplies, 8,000 is a request this year. The exact same was budgeted last year. Repairs, 75,000 is a request this year. 34,000 was the request in 2023. Equipment repair and maintenance, $16,000 is the request this year. The exact same amount as 2023. Contractual services, $317,371 is the request in 2024. $81,394 was the request in 2023. Last line item on page 121 is other equipment. $24,000 is a request this year. It's up from the prior year's request of $14,000. Any questions on page 121?
Yes, Council President.
Yes, Councilman Montague.
Okay. what do we attribute the increase from 81,394 last year? This is under contractual services to 317,371.
Top, the bottom line, short top construction, Colgate basketball court.
Oh, most of these were resolutions.
The new contract for the field turf maintenance. And the fence repairs. Any other questions on page 121?
Can I ask a quick question to Director Mays, and it's probably not for, when you talk about field turf maintenance. Director Mays, Bell
Yes.
Stadium, isn't that our responsibility to redo that turf over there?
We can't sweep and vacuum.
Right answer that.
We don't have the equipment to sweep and vacuum it. So
No,
it's a company that comes in twice a year to sweep and vacuum.
I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about it has to be totally redone.
Oh, she talking about Bell Stadium.
I'm talking about Bell Stadium.
Oh, that's a question for Kristen.
I've been trying to investigate that this week because they said it's the responsibility of the city because they lease it from the city. So can we talk? I don't want you to go into it tonight. Can we talk about that sometime this week?
Sure.
Okay.
No
Was that-
further questions. I'm sorry, go ahead, Council President.
No, go ahead.
No further questions on page 121. I'll flip to page 122, which has the utilities listed. Total requested for gas and electric and street lighting, the utilities, it's $1,025,000. 2023, the adopted budget was $890,000. The paid or charge for 2023 for the utilities was $1,071,978.53. Gas and electrics request is $400,000 in 2024. 2023, the request was $390,000. Street lighting, the request for 2024 is $625,000. The prior year's budget included a line item of $500,000. Any questions on page 122?
I have one for Director Mays. How do we go about getting a street light for Ridge and White Street? I think we requested that 6 months ago. Is there a process that we need to do?
All right, let me get back to you on that. Let me check into that.
Okay. I'll call you tomorrow morning.
Okay.
Any other questions on page 122?
No, but I need to go back to one, and I don't remember when you talked about landscaping. So I guess since Raymond is there, are we gonna landscape the front of the police department?
You got.
You good.
What you talking about? Re-landscape it, pour some. What you looking at? The redesign of it?
Well, it needs landscaping. It looks horrible out there. But I saw landscaping up there for the police department in one of these pages. I can't remember which one. It said landscaping police department.
Yeah, I'll talk to Marty. We'll look into it to try to purify it a little bit better.
Yeah, put some flowers out there. You got it in the budget, so let's make it look better.
Okay.
All right.
If no further questions on page 122, that concludes tab 10 for DPW. Marty, do you have any closing remarks?
Thank you. I appreciate you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you, Marty.
Any questions for the CBAC?
Yes, Council President, Carol Perkins will lead us through that portion.
Carl, I was hoping all of you had gone to bed.
Aren't you happy?
no.
I woke up.
No.
I know you were hoping, and I went to sleep, and I almost did.
So, I'm sorry to interrupt, Council.
What a long night. I am, boy, oh boy, oh boy. All right.
Hold on, Ms. Perkins.
It's 10:14, so just remember that at 10, around 10:30ish, we need to extend the meeting if this going past 10.
We're gonna only do another 15 minutes. Everybody is tired and the eyes are drooping. We're only gonna do another 15 minutes and we're gonna be out of here. Yes, Ms. Perkins.
Page 103. I see that you swapped out a records senior tech, support tech, to a keyboarding which increased the salary $8,000, which I was confused on. Then I see there that an administrative clerk, you raised her salary $12,000. Is there reasoning for that?
Hold on for a second here. Page 103.
Yeah.
Right.
Talking about the first salary and then the
I
third.
went on last year's and looked to see what was going on there because I see too much of a difference in an increase.
That was one you
So that you
mentioned.
swapped out the record support tech with a keyboarding clerk 1. And the salary went from 31 to 39.
So that was a promotion of the same person and a salary adjustment.
Okay.
So
And how about
that
the
was the
administrative
title
clerk?
change. And the other one, I have to go back and look, but I believe that's a longevity adjustment based upon years.
Something we talked about. Okay.
Correct.
Yeah, longevity and raise.
You talking about Keisha?
All right.
Marty, no names.
No names.
No names.
Not talking about it. She's
No
not.
names. 104, other training for DPW workers. Can you tell me what that's for?
Marty.
Hi, Marty.
Are you talking about employee training at the top, 18,000?
Yeah. They go other training for DPW employees.
That's for different courses that they might want to take during the year, like about computers. We offer a bunch of courses, some educational, just different coursework.
And also part of it is you go to Atlantic City to get your credits, right?
Yes, it's not always Atlantic City though. It's different locations.
But that's
It
part
depends
of it.
on what certification you're looking for.
But that's part of it.
Yes.
So you send them for certifications for certain things.
Yes.
Plumbing.
Certified Public Works
What
Manager.
is this Motorola? What does that do with you?
We just purchased some new walkie-talkie type radios, trying to improve the communication, especially in the buildings and maintenance staff.
Okay. 105, we were looking at because we weren't understanding why you're doing redesign on City Hall when we were told that City Hall would be moving shortly.
Well, right now we're here and we're trying to maintain it the best we can. Some things you can let go, but some things you got to maintain. So, we're doing the best to do
Do we
that.
have any projected date in when City Hall might be?
I was just going to say shortly is a relative term.
I know.
The location.
I know. I'm on the 5-year plan with you. I should tell you, every time I tell you something, I wait for 5 years. If it goes longer than 5 years, then I start jumping up and down.
Okay.
I think that's a historic building, isn't it?
Hey, I worked for the county for 43 years, so I know how long it takes, what the process is to get something. I know 5 years, okay, start yelling.
Right. You can yell at me in 5 years.
I may not be here, but okay. Maybe you'll plant me under the new one.
Cement crews.
Phase 3, traffic engineering, and phase 4, construction, docks and specs. Can you explain that? Are we getting any money, any grants to do whatever this is?
Not for this specific stuff. That's why I actually have it in this place. But if you really look at this closely, a lot of these funds got cut out of here. So that means that some of these projects aren't going to happen.
Those two specifically were cut out in the administrative adjustment at the bottom of that box.
So they're not going to be done.
No, they won't be funded.
Okay. That answers that question. All right, we have a mechanic and a road repair supervisor vacancies. Are they going to be filled?
No, that's not gonna be filled at this present time.
There's nothing budgeted, Ms. Perkins.
Yeah.
Yeah, I see that, but
Mhm.
hey, we've had stuff not budgeted before and that we budgeted someplace along the line. I talked to Chris about the parking meters. Now, are we finished putting in the new parking meters or do we have more to do?
We have more to do. The next phase is the removal of all the parking meters from the parking lots, and then there's some on Lower Main Street, like Canfield down, that have to be upgraded and installed. And then there are other areas that are going to have parking meters, like going down Military Park, and then like High Street, north of Lincoln, going towards High Street.
Okay. Are we under contract for the people that come in? Will they come out and fix them if something happens? Or are we responsible?
Well, if there's something that we can't fix, then they're responsible. Like the new kiosks are under warranty. And they're also going to do training so that we're able to handle things in-house to save time and money, because they do bill.
Okay. All right. I'm gonna throw this out here, Chris. Parking authority.
So I'll be having a meeting with the council in executive session to explain the appointment process. I have to schedule that through the clerk's office. Once the appointment process is through, then there are some negotiations that'll need to take place between the newly appointed Parking Authority Board and Board of Commissioners and the City Council.
I hope we can pick commissioners that know something about parking, that know about how to maintain the streets here in Orange, that we're not just picking somebody out of a hat because they said they would do it. This is very important. This is a money maker for the city, a big money maker. All right, I go to snow and garbage removal. My next life, I'm gonna be a garbage man.
Okay.
Yay, because they make a lot of money. Can't we get together with some of these other towns around to cut some of our costs with these things?
Well, garbage specifically has to be publicly bid. And the issue, garbage removal has to be publicly bid as a contract. The issue is getting people to bid in specific areas. So, for example, the people who had the contract in West Orange didn't bid on the contract in Orange. And the people who had the contract in Montclair didn't bid on the contract in Orange. And the people who had the contract in South Orange didn't bid on the contract in Orange. And those are three separate companies that I just named. So
Right, I'll go out and buy a few trucks. You'll be fine. Do we get anything back from recycling? What's going on with that? That everybody's doing this?
Yeah, we always get funding back from recycling. I don't know what it is. What I can find out exactly what it is, but we have a very good recycling program. I think we up to like between 50 and 60% for the city.
Yeah, I'd like to know what the exact dollar figure is on that that's covering some of these expenses we have out there. And are we doing that for our landscaping and design? If you need design, I can come help you. It's one of my things. My landscaper loves me. There's nurseries in places outside of Orange that my landscaper sends me to, that other landscapers go to, that are much cheaper than Orange Gardens. I don't know whether they're giving the city a discount, but it's always a thought. And equipment repair and maintenance. I looked at the door repairs and the locksmith service. How many doors are we doing? How many locks are we doing?
Well, just tell them to cover all buildings.
One is 50,000, the other is
We
20.
cover all the buildings. There's a lot of keys. There's a lot of locks. There's a lot to deal with.
So you're doing the whole city?
Yes.
Okay. And contractual services, which is on 121.
Ms. Perkins, we have 3 minutes.
You're not gonna rush me.
We all gonna be
Up here all night.
121.
Fortunately, all night.
Ms. Lanier.
Contractual services.
Hold on, Ms. Perkins. Ms. Lanier,
You want to put Miss Perkins on mute?
you want to do a,
I gotta do a motion to extend the meeting.
I have one more to do. It'll take him 2 minutes to tell me whether we get any grants or funds for this.
For contractual services for short top construction, Marty?
For the turf and for, do we get any money back from anybody?
It's
Fen-
mostly grants, mostly from grants.
Mostly from grants?
Yes.
Do we have to, what are we putting? Can you give me what the difference is between the grants and what we have to put out in this section? If you don't have it tonight, if you can give it to me another
Okay.
day. So
Okay.
everybody can go to bed.
All right.
I'm fine. See?
Thank you,
thank
Ms.
you, Ms.
Perkins.
Perkins.
You're welcome.
Right, Council President, that concludes our presentations for tonight. We will resume tomorrow night at 7 p.m. We'll have the Law Department, Department of Finance, and the City Clerk and the councils.
I'm driving home. You drink coffee?
Sounds good.
No, I'm good.
Thank you.
Take it slow, that's all.
So can we
Thank
have a
you.
motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn. Motion to adjourn by Councilmember Montague the third. Is there a second?
Second, Coley.
Second by Councilmember Coley. All in favor?
Aye.
Hi.
Any opposed? Okay, this meeting is adjourned at 10:28 p.m.
Motion at your spotlight cam.
Thank
Let's
you.
see.
Good night.
Good night, everyone.
See you tomorrow night.
You can bet on it.
Mm.